Your eyes flick between tiles on a glowing screen, each one whispering that it will only take a second. Your thumb moves before you decide. A phantom buzz tickles your leg. You open a tab to check a detail and wake up 20 minutes later in a rabbit hole with 13 more details to check. Your body sits still, but inside, you're sprinting, heart a notch faster, jaw a little tighter, attention splintered into glitter that never settles. You promise yourself you'll do the real work after one more swipe, one more message, one more tiny fix. The day dissolves into almost starts and half-finished thoughts. Sound familiar? Here's the promise. You will build a focus switch you can flip in 60 seconds without white-knuckle willpower, using the way your brain already allocates attention. You'll learn a simple protocol to unhook from noise, tune your reticular activating system like a filter, and lock onto the one thing that matters, so you can do deep, clean work on command and leave the day with a quiet mind. Here's where we begin. Your brain isn't messy, it's efficient. The amygdala scans for threat, novelty, and social cues. The RAS, that gatekeeper network in your brainstem, decides what reaches your awareness. Your prefrontal cortex plans, sequences, and chooses. When your world floods with pings and possibilities, your RAS tries to help by surfacing anything that feels urgent. Urgent isn't the same as important. Today, you'll teach that filter what to pass through and what to ignore. You won't bully it, you'll brief it. Take a slow inhale through your nose for a count of 4, let it stay for 4, and send it out for 6. Feel the coolness at the nostrils on the way in, the warmer air brushing your upper lip on the way out. Your shoulders drop a centimeter. That breath is not woo, it's a blood flow redirect. As you lengthen the exhale, the vagus nerve cues your nervous system towards safety, handing a little control back to the prefrontal cortex. You can feel it as a micro-softening behind the eyes, like someone dimmed a harsh light. A story so you can see yourself in it. In an open-plan office, fluorescent hum, the usual keyboard chatter. Devon, a project lead, had a launch week packed with moving parts. He told himself he'd finalize the critical spec first thing. At 9:03 a.m., a Slack mention, "Quick question," he answered it, then another, then glanced at a news alert. By 10:17 a.m., his stomach felt hollow and buzzy. The spec document stared at him like wet concrete. He considered coffee. Instead, he tested a new rule. He slid his chair back an inch, placed his feet flat, did 2 rounds of 4-4-6, and then asked 2 questions in a whisper. What is the one target that if moved moves everything else? Why does it matter to me right now? His mind answered with surprising clarity. Lock the acceptance criteria. Without that, all tasks multiply. He wrote one sentence. Acceptance criteria define done for each feature. The focus arrived not as a roar, but as a steady click, like a lens settling. He finished the spec by noon and felt a clean kind of tired, not the frazzled kind. That is the focus switch protocol. It has 4 movements you'll practice until they happen almost automatically. Settle the body, set the filter, single sentence start, and small, wise sprint. We'll do it together, then you'll run it solo in micro moments all week. You don't need willpower, you need a ritual that recruits your biology. Settle the body. Do one more breath with me. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Let your tongue rest on the roof of your mouth, unclench the jaw. Feel your sit bones on the chair, the slight pressure at the back of your thighs, the fabric against your skin. Hear the low room tone you usually ignore, the refrigerator, the distant traffic, a bird's trill in a quick, ascending loop. When the body believes it's not under attack, attention stops scattering like birds. Set the filter. Your RAS is like a bouncer taking cues from the VIP list you hand it. Without a list, It admits whatever shouts. With a list, it recognizes the face that matters. Your VIP list is one 15-word intention. Today I am the kind of person who brings full attention to because. Fill the first blank with one target. Fill the second with a reason that touches your values or someone you care about. Then trace an invisible rectangle around the space in front of you like you're framing a shot. That physical gesture is a signal to your midbrain. This is the stage. Single sentence start. You don't need to begin with brilliance. You need to begin with a handle. Write one plain, declarative sentence that states the task in motion. Draft the email that clarifies the timeline. Outline the 3 beats of the presentation story. Summarize the data in 2 paragraphs. The sentence is a switch, not a performance. As you write it, your prefrontal cortex lights the path, and your RAS, newly briefed, starts surfacing only the cues connected to that path. Distractions don't vanish, they blur into background. Small, wise sprint. Set a visible timer for 12 minutes. 12 is long enough to enter, short enough not to scare your brain. During that window, you practice the one-tab rule, one document, one window, full screen. If you need reference material, pin it before the sprint starts or jot a bracketed note to look it up later. When the timer ends, you pause, breathe, and decide. Continue for another 12 or deliberately stop and log your progress. Either choice builds trust with yourself. Focus is a relationship, not a demand. Notice your body again. The breath is slower now. There's a gentle heaviness in your hands, as if each finger has more weight and a clearer job. The screen feels a bit more distant until you choose it. The room feels closer, safer. This is not magic. It's sensory gating. You are telling your nervous system which inputs are currently relevant. Let's add a second tool for clearing the field, the signal-to-noise sweep. Noise is anything that steals mental cycles without moving the target. Signals are cues that help the next wise step. When you begin a session, you sweep your environment and inner chatter for 3 kinds of noise: visual clutter in view, open loops itching for attention, and bodily friction you can fix fast. You don't make a production out of it. You do a 90-second sweep. Put the glass in the sink, close the extra tabs, silence non-critical notifications, set your phone in another room or face down out of reach. Then sweep your mind. Capture the stray thought on a parking lot note, call Sam after lunch, buy printer paper, text mom about Saturday, and let it live there. Bodily friction, adjust the chair, loosen or add a layer, sip water. Every small removal increases the signal-to-noise ratio until your RAS has an easier job. A moment in a different setting. An art history student named Priya sat in a crowded cafe with a midterm looming. Her brain felt cottony, her chest tight like a shirt one size too small. She opened her laptop, saw 10 PDFs, and almost opened Instagram. Instead, she ran the sweep. 90 seconds later, headphones on with soft instrumental, phone zipped in her bag, 2 tabs only, sticky note labeled later. She wrote one sentence: argue that Caravaggio's chiaroscuro was a psychological device, not just an aesthetic. The timer ticked. At minute 8, a notification banner slid across her screen, new comment on a photo. Her thumb twitched. She named it quietly, noise. She exhaled long. The banner faded as if embarrassed. She kept typing and felt a pool of calm spread behind her sternum like warm tea. What's happening under the hood matters because it makes the method stick. Your amygdala treats uncertainty as threat and primes you to scan. The 4-4-6 breath and environmental tweaks reduce that threat signal, restoring executive function. Your RAS learns by repetition which patterns predict reward. When you pair a single sentence start with short sprints that end cleanly, your brain gets a hit of completion. Each repetition tells the filter, "This is relevant, bring me more of this." Over days, you notice your attention snapping to the right cues faster, like a lens that now knows where to focus first. You might wonder, what about days when motivation is at zero, when the mind weather looks like fog and drizzle? This is where identity beats motivation every time. Instead of waiting to feel like focusing, you embody the identity that focuses. Whisper it, "I am a person who brings gentle but unwavering attention to one thing at a time." You are the awareness, not the swirl of impulses. You are the gardener, not every weed that pops up. On tough days, shrink the target and deepen the ritual. 2 rounds of breath, a single sentence start so small it's almost funny, and a 6-minute sprint. 6 minutes is shorter than your resistance's speech. Check your senses again. Feel the weight of your device in your hands, the slight warmth under your palms, the support of the chair under your spine. Notice a scent in the room you had tuned out, coffee, paper, the detergent on your sleeve. Hear the nearest repeating sound. These anchors are not distractions, they are ground. From ground you choose. Sometimes the people around you are the noisiest input. Colleagues who drop just a quick on your lap. Friends who expect instant replies. You aren't powerless. You are designing a sanctuary room in time. The focus switch includes a boundary phrase you can deliver kindly. "I'm on a focus block for the next 20 minutes. Can I get back to you right after?" If they push, repeat the line with warmth. Watch how often the world accepts your boundary when you offer it without apology or drama. If someone doesn't, that's data for a future conversation. It's not a reason to abandon yourself now. Your mind will test your new protocol with the most seductive thought of all: "I should check that one thing first." Catch it like catching a moth in cupped hands. Say, "I'm having the thought that I should check." Labeling thoughts this way creates cognitive distance without a fight. Distance gives you a choice. Return to your single sentence. Touch the home row. Begin. Let's do a full guided run of the focus switch now, 1 minute at a time. Sit how you are, but with intent. Feet planted, spine long but not rigid, shoulders soft. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Again, let the belly move. Imagine a dimmer sliding down inside your chest. Now set the filter. Speak quietly. "Today I am the kind of person who brings full attention to finishing the rough outline because it will make tomorrow peaceful." Trace that invisible rectangle so your eyes understand the frame. Write your single sentence. It can be crude. Rough outline, 3 section headers and the point of each. Start the 12-minute timer. If you don't have one, count breaths to 60 slow inhales and exhales and call it done. 1 tab only. If a thought arrives that feels important, whisper "parking lot" and jot 1 word on your side note. When the time ends, mark the win. That mark matters more than you think. It tells your nervous system you finished a cycle, which frees attention for the next one. You are reprogramming the operating system not with force, but with consistent inputs. No sermon, only practice. The first week, expect turbulence. New protocols always hit patches of rough air. When it happens, use a tiny recovery, the 90-second weather rule. When you notice overwhelm, set a 90-second timer and do nothing but feel the weather in your body. Name it in simple terms: pressure in the chest, heat in the face, buzzing in the arms. No story, no fix. As you watch, the wave peaks and falls, because that's what waves do when not fed. Then you resume the switch. This isn't lost time, it's how you keep your cockpit clear. One more scene. Late evening, kitchen light warm and low. You're rinsing a mug, thinking about the day. There's a soft pride settling in your ribs like a hand on your back. You didn't conquer the world. You finished 2 clean sprints and made a decision about tomorrow's target. You left the rest in the parking lot. The phone is face down on a shelf, not as an exile, but as an honored guest who gets quiet hours. Your mind feels like a tidy room. The stillness isn't empty, it's spacious. This is the reward you are training your RAs to seek, a subtle, reliable relief that beats any jittery hit. You will start to crave this kind of quiet, and craving works in your favor. Before we end, seal it. Place your right hand over your sternum, left hand on your belly. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Say not loudly but with conviction only you need to hear. I switch on my focus by caring for my body, briefing my filter, and beginning with one honest line. I am not my urges, I am the one who chooses. Feel the warmth of your palm, the slow drum of your heart, the grounded weight of your seat. The focus switch is now a physical thing in your life. Breath, frame, sentence, sprint. You'll use it tomorrow morning, and again after lunch when the afternoon tries to scatter you, and again in the last hour when you could easily drain your day into pixels. Each time you choose the switch, you strengthen the identity that makes focus effortless. Tonight, write a 2-sentence plan on a sticky note and place it where your eyes will land first thing. Sentence 1, what you will bring your full attention to. Sentence 2, why it matters to you or someone you love. That's your VIP list, ready for your bouncer. Sleep becomes part of the protocol. Your brain will rehearse the target in the background, tagging cues, so the morning feels like you're stepping onto a path already marked. You'll be tempted to treat this as a tool you reach for only in emergencies. Don't. Make it your default way of entering anything that matters. Conversations, workouts, cooking dinner, meeting a friend. The switch shrinks time by reducing pointless transitions. It gives you your life back in small, tangible pieces. When your attention is a place you trust, your days stop leaking. You feel it in your breath, your posture, the way you end an hour with a finished thought instead of a handful of fragments. And when the world shouts, you'll know how to dim the noise and light the stage you chose. You don't need more hours, you need to spend the next 10 as if they were 3. Today you'll build the focus switch into the bones of your day so it flips on by itself. The science is simple. Your brain loves patterns that predict relief and progress. When you pair a consistent cue with a short, rewarding focus sprint, your basal ganglia binds them like Velcro. Do it a few times, and the switch becomes less a choice and more a reflex. We'll do that with 2 frameworks, the 3-window day and the anchor task matrix. One organizes time by attention quality, the other organizes work by gravitational pull. Together, they turn chaos into lanes, so your RAS can stop dancing under strobe lights and start following a beam. Start with the 3-window day. Your day has 3 natural windows where focus is easiest to claim: opening, middle, and close. The opening window is the first clear block after you wake and move. The middle window sits after your first energy dip has passed. The close window happens when the world quiets and you can decide how the day ends. In each window, you'll run a focus switch sequence on one thing that matters. That's it, not 10, 1 per window. Your nervous system loves this rhythm because it reduces uncertainty. And uncertainty is what makes your amygdala twitchy and your attention skitter. Feel your breath for a moment. Inhale slow, the cool air passing the tip of your nose. Exhale longer, the warm stream stroking your upper lip. Let your shoulders unhook by a few grams. Notice the temperature where your forearms meet the desk, the way your waistband meets your skin. These details are not filler. They are the doorway you step through each time you mark a window and begin. The switch rides on sensation because sensation is unarguable. Now the anchor task matrix. Picture a simple cross in your mind. Vertical axis is importance to your future self. Horizontal axis is gravity, the felt pull to avoid or approach. High importance, high avoidance tasks are your anchors. They hold the day steady when you clip to them. Low importance, high approach tasks are candy, tasty, distracting, often sweet but rarely nourishing. High importance, high approach are gifts. If you have one, use it to warm up. Low importance, high avoidance are sand. They clog your gears when you kick them. Your rule is kind and clear. In each window, clip to one anchor or one gift. Candy waits in a limited bowl you'll enjoy at the end of a sprint. Sand gets swept into a batch later or delegated. This isn't rigid productivity theater, it's physiology. Anchors create a predictable signal that quiets scanning. Gifts keep momentum buttery. Candy as a reward teaches your RAS that focus precedes the quick hits, not the other way around. An example you can feel: Marisol runs a small design studio. Mornings, her phone greeted her first, and by 10 a.m. she donated her brain to everyone else's priorities. After a week of the three-window day, she placed a paper card on her keyboard each evening that read "Opening Anchor." The next morning, she didn't contemplate. She simply breathed 446, traced the rectangle, and wrote one sentence. Draft 3 brand story lines. 12 minutes. The resistance hissed, but her body had already started the sequence. By minute 6, she forgot the hiss. By the close window, she clipped into a gift, sourcing inspiration images, easy and satisfying. She left the studio feeling done instead of done in. Her clients noticed the difference before she bragged about it. That's what identity looks like from the outside. There's a friction you'll want to remove: the ritual of warming your cognitive engine. Enter the focus warm start. You prime your neural pathways by spending the first 90 seconds of a window not on output, but on a micro-rehearsal. Read the last paragraph you wrote. Sketch the outline skeleton. Whisper the first 3 phrases of the presentation. This is not procrastination. It's hippocampal priming. You're reactivating the pattern so the prefrontal cortex can slot in the next piece with less effort. The warm start turns the into "oh, right this." The more often you experience "oh, right this," the faster your body heads there next time. Scan your field now. The hum of a fan, a faint traffic swoosh, the way your shirt drapes across your collarbones. Place your feet heavy, toes spreading inside your shoes. Taste whatever lingers in your mouth, coffee or mint or nothing. When you ground like this, you're sending your midline a memo. The stage is set, the actor can enter. The actor is your attention dressed in simple clothes. To back your practice with quick wins, use the distraction immunity loop. It's a 3-step micro-drill you run the instant a lure appears. Step 1, name the lure in neutral language. I'm noticing the urge to check messages. Step 2, breathe out through pursed lips for a count of 6, like you're cooling a spoon. Step 3, redirect with the exact next micro-action. Type the first sentence. Highlight the line to cut. Click Save. The loop takes 2 seconds to execute. It breaks the stimulus-response chain that hijacks your motor plans. Neuroscience alive in your fingers. A story from a different arena. Sol is a nurse working swing shifts. Focus felt like chasing a cat through a crowded room. After learning the immunity loop, he noticed his hand drifting toward his pocket between patient notes. He labeled the drift, exhaled, and returned to the next checkbox. He did this 40 times in one shift, 40 reps, tiny biceps of attention. He reported feeling less wrung out afterward, even though the shift was heavy, because he wasn't tugged back and forth by phantom tasks. The room in his chest felt wider when he clocked out. Your RAS needs language to tune itself. Enter the RAS tuning script, a whisper you give yourself before each window. Bring me cues for specific outcome and dim everything that doesn't help the very next step. The bring me dim phrasing matters. It's directional, not scolding. You are briefing a partner, not berating a child. Follow it with one sensory anchor, a fingertip press on the desk, a gentle roll of your shoulders, and your midbrain links the words to a bodily action. Pairing language with sensation wires faster. Pause, feel the air on the back of your hands. Let your jaw slacken, tongue soft behind your teeth. Notice the microsway in your spine as you breathe, the chair accepting you. Vision softens to the sides, then narrows on your chosen point. This is the lens moving. It's not abstract, it's a thing you can sense. Sometimes focus fails because the task feels enormous, like trying to lift a car. Use the task gravity scale. On a scale from 1 to 10, how heavy does this task feel right now? Not how important, not how long, how heavy. If it's above a 6, you lighten it with a grain. A grain is the smallest unit of progress that still feels like real movement. If writing a proposal is an 8, a grain might be create the document and paste the 3 client quotes. Your brain releases a touch of dopamine when you complete grains. That chemical encouragement isn't a trick, it's fuel. You're giving your system honest success to build trust. When the weight drops to a 4, you pick up speed without drama. A brief scene in a quieter place. Rain tatters against a window. The room smells like soap and wood. You sit with a notebook and pen, shoulders rounded just enough to feel cozy, not collapsed. You write at the top of a page, opening window anchor. Beneath it, outline the user journey for onboarding. Gravity, 7, grain, map just the first 3 steps with verbs only. You breathe, you trace the rectangle in the air, you write the single sentence. The world doesn't change, but your lane appears. The sound of rain becomes metronome, not distraction. This is ordinary magic, not fireworks, but a pilot light that never goes out. There will be days when the middle window gets smashed by meetings, messages, and noise you didn't choose. You can still run the switch in slivers. Use the micro window, 3 minutes between things to reset your filter. Stand if you've been sitting. Press your feet into the ground like you're leaving footprints. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Whisper the tuning script. Scribble 1 sentence toward your anchor. Close the loop. Micro windows keep your identity intact when the schedule isn't yours. Identity again, because this is the part that sticks. You are not a scattered person trying to become focused. You are a focused person building a life that matches. When distractions flare, you are the one who notices, names, and chooses. You are the awareness behind the weather, not the sudden gust. Let that sentence land somewhere physical, perhaps the center of your chest, a warm coin, or the back of your throat, cool and clear. The more you connect identity to sensation, the faster your body remembers when thinking gets loud. If motivation dips, don't reach for shame. Reach for the 90-second weather rule you learned. Place your hand on your sternum and feel the drum. Name the weather, tightness, fuzziness, static. Hold your own gaze in a window reflection or a blank monitor, not to judge, but to remember you exist beyond the task. When the 90 seconds pass, ask the gravity question. If the number is still high, choose a grain or choose compassion. Today the close window will be my win. Compassion protects your prefrontal cortex better than self-attack ever has. Another vignette, this time in a relationship. Yi and her partner had a pattern. Evening conversations turned into spirals. Yi practiced the focus switch not just for work, but for listening. Close window anchor, listen to understand his day, not fix it. She breathed, framed the space between them, and gave herself 1 sentence. Ask 1 clarifying question. 12 minutes of presence turned what used to be a debate into a debrief. Yi realized that attention is love wearing work boots. The same brain systems apply. The RAS will surface cues of tone and meaning if you brief it with a human target. To keep your switch honest, log your windows. At the end of the day, write 3 lines: what you anchored to in the opening, what you moved in the middle, how you closed. Add 1 line, what felt different in your body before and after. The log is a mirror that rewards reality. It trains your RAS to highlight the sensations of focus, looser shoulders, quieter jaw, steadier breath, so you notice them sooner next time. The log also gives you a private place to celebrate micro-wins. Your brain stores stories, not checklists. Make the story simple. I notice, I breathe, I choose, I begin, I finish. One more tool to extend your switch beyond the first hour: the boundary loop. It has 2 parts, state and schedule. When someone requests your attention mid-window, you state your focus and schedule the follow-up. I'm in a focus block finishing the analysis. I can look at this at 2:30. Does that work? If they push, you repeat the loop with warmth. Your system learns that boundaries are not conflict, they're choreography. The dance gets easier with steps. Right now, imagine your next opening window. See the light in the room you'll be in. Feel the chair under you, the device or notebook's weight. Hear what silence sounds like there. Picture the card on your keyboard or the note on your phone. Opening, anchor. The clarity of that image is your hippocampus rehearsing. The rehearsal is a gift to your future attention. You've already walked the path once in your mind. Tomorrow you will recognize it with your feet. Before we land this part, run a mini sequence together. Sit as you are, but straighten the crown of your head an inch. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Again, whisper, bring me cues for outlining the brief and dim everything else until the first 3 bullets exist. Trace the rectangle. Write your 1 sentence on a scrap or in your mind. Set a timer for 6 minutes if 12 feels heavy. When it ends, place your palm flat on the desk or your thigh and say, cycle complete. You feel the warmth under your palm. That warmth is your signature. You will be tempted to overcomplicate this, to add apps and color codes and a dozen rules. Resist the theater. Keep the switch simple and repeatable: breath, frame, sentence, sprint. Keep the day in 3 windows. Choose anchors and gifts with honesty. Sweep candy into a bowl you enjoy on purpose. Batch sand so it doesn't sandblast your attention. Your system will adapt because that's what nervous systems do when given consistency and kindness. As you stand up or shift in your seat, notice the pressure as your weight changes. Feel fabric slide on skin. Hear the faint buzz of electricity in your space, the world's endless hum. You are not trying to silence the world. You are learning to light your own stage. When the lights come up where you are, everything else politely dims. That's focus, not as a mood, but as a decision embodied. Carry 1 sentence with you into the next room, the next hour, the next conversation. I brief my brain, I move 1 true thing, and I leave a trail of completed cycles. Let it settle behind your eyes like a calm horizon. Let it ride in your breath like a tide. Your attention is not a puppy to scold. It's a loyal dog that runs where you point when you point with love and clarity. You've learned to flip the switch and shape your day. Now you'll build environments that do half the work for you. Willpower is loud in the morning and hoarse by noon. Architecture whispers all day. The right cues pull you forward without negotiation, like moving walkways in an airport. We'll craft 2 structures today: the deep work dome and the spotlight triangle. The dome is a sensory perimeter that hushes noise before it reaches you. The triangle is a cognitive circuit, aim, anchor, advance, that keeps your prefrontal cortex in the pilot seat while your habit loops taxi the plane. Your brain likes flying the same route. We'll teach it to choose your runway. Feel the chair accept your weight as if it knows your shape. Spread your toes inside your shoes. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, and let out 6 like you're fogging a winter window. Drop your shoulders by a quiet ½ centimeter. On the exhale, notice the cool edge of air at the nostrils, then the warmer brush leaving you. When you start here, threat signals soften and the RAS hears your briefing. The deep work dome begins with a cue cradle, 3 tangible signals that mean focus. It can be as humble as a mug, a playlist, and a lamp. Every time you enter a session, you place the mug at 2 o'clock on your desk, you start the same instrumental track, and you turn on a small, warm light that washes the surface. The consistency is the trick. After a week, your midbrain will associate that triangle of cues with the relief of clean progress. This isn't superstition, it's classical conditioning tuned for adults with calendars. The amygdala likes predictable rituals. It's less jumpy when rituals repeat. The dome expands with subtraction. Put distance between you and your lures. Your phone becomes a guest with house rules, out of reach, face down, or in another room. Tabs collapse. Visual clutter moves out of frame. If you share space, a visible token becomes your quiet flag. A pair of headphones resting on the desk. A small stand with a card that reads "Focus window," a door slightly closed. People adjust faster than you think when you teach them gently and consistently. A story from a small apartment with thin walls. Andre, a new dad finishing a degree, felt like his brain was made of Swiss cheese. He built his dome with what he had. He stood his baby's outgrown nightlight behind his laptop as his lamp cue brewed cinnamon tea as the scent cue and looped a single ambient track. First week, the dome felt like play acting. Third week, he reported a reflex. When the bulb glowed and the tea steamed, his body exhaled. The soundtrack's first notes felt like a runway line. His grades rose, but what he celebrated most was a steadier heartbeat during study and a softer mind when he put his daughter to bed. The dome wasn't about output, it was about peace between the beats. The spotlight triangle aims your cognition where the dome protects it. 3 steps, quiet and repeatable. Aim is choosing your exact target in one sentence that includes a verb and an outcome. Anchor is attaching a bodily sensation to that sentence, so the RAS binds meaning to feeling. Advance is moving forward with a micro-commitment that has a finish line. Aim, draft the executive summary to 150 words. Anchor, press thumb and forefinger together and feel the pad's warmth for 2 breaths. Advance, write the first 30 words without editing. When thought fog rolls in, the triangle is your lighthouse. You don't ask if you feel like focusing. You place the spotlight, you feel it in the hand, and you step into it. Pause, look softly at the edges of your vision, then let your gaze narrow to a single spot, perhaps the corner of your device or a grain in the desk. Sense the texture with your eyes. Listen for the lowest hum in the room, maybe electricity, maybe distant traffic. Smell the nearest neutral scent. Anchor these 3 senses to begin. Each repetition makes beginning cheaper. Your RAS loves names more than you think. Words are handles. Handles let you carry weight. Name your dome sequence out loud once per session. Light, steam, sound, posture. Say your triangle, aim, anchor, advance. The spoken loop reduces uncertainty, and uncertainty is the fuel of drift. Neuroscience is poetic here. When language networks engage alongside motor planning, your prefrontal cortex coordinates the sequence more smoothly. This is why pilots have checklists even after thousands of hours. You're becoming a pilot in your own cockpit. Anecdote: in a place that smells like toner and carpet, Lena, a mid-level manager, dreaded quarterly report days. Her chest tightened, her jaw clicked. She made the spotlight triangle on a sticky note. Aim: clarify the story of the numbers in 2 paragraphs. Anchor: feel the weight of the mug in my right hand for 2 breaths. Advance: write 10 true sentences, 1 per line. 10 minutes in, a colleague hovered. Lena lifted her hand in a gentle stop and pointed to a small card that read "Focus window, back at 10:30. Her colleague nodded and left. Lena felt the click, identity holding the boundary without anger. She finished early, added 1 metaphor to make the data sing, and walked to the kitchen like she wasn't fleeing a fire. That's the dome and the triangle working in the wild. There's another invisible layer: the attention diet. What you feed your senses between focus windows affects the flavor of your next sprint. If you gorge on novelty, doom scrolling, rapid cuts, angry threads, you ask your RAS to crave velocity over depth. For the next 7 days, try a slow feed. Between windows, substitute 1 high-friction input with a low-friction one. Read 2 pages of a book instead of headlines. Step outside for 60 seconds and count 5 colors instead of refreshing a feed. Listen to 1 song all the way without skipping. Your dopamine system will stop expecting fireworks every minute. It will start to savor the warmer glow of completion. This is not moral, it's metabolic. Check your body again. Notice the angle of your neck. Let the back of your tongue soften. Unfurl your hands, then let them rest with a bit of weight, knuckles warm. Feel your clothes against your skin, the seam at your shoulder, the band at your wrist, the fabric against your thigh. The room feels more 3-dimensional when you attend, and in a 3-dimensional room, you are less likely to vanish into a flat screen. Introduce the 2-minute tarmac. Before every major focus flight, you taxi. 2 minutes, no more. You breathe 4-4-6 twice. You run your cue cradle light scent sound. You write your aim sentence and pair it with the anchor sensation. You set the 12-minute clock. That's it. The tarmac is your agreement with your nervous system. We do not leap into the air from a dead stop. We roll forward and lift with steadiness. The tarmac shortens startup conflict. Habit circuits adore predictable sequences. Within a week, your body will begin the sequence when you reach for the lamp. That's the point. You're removing debate by rehearsing dignity. A scene at the back of a bus. It's late. The seat vibrates lightly with the engine. You hold a tablet and stylus. Your dome is portable. Noise-canceling earbuds hum. Peppermint gum cues your mouth and breath. A soft beanie becomes your boundary flag. You aim, sketch 3 thumbnail layouts for the landing page. You anchor, forefinger and thumb meet, 2 breaths. You advance, draw 3 rectangles without labels. The city blurs outside as your triangle lights inside. When your stop nears, you look at your 3 boxes and feel a clean, small pride. Focus didn't wait for a perfect room. You brought a room with you. Under the hood, you're training the salience network, a set of regions that toggles between the default mode, wandering, and the executive network, goal-directed. The salience network loves prediction. It's the little bellhop who opens the right door when it recognizes your suitcase. The dome and triangle make your suitcase obvious. Over time, switching costs drop. You go from minutes to seconds between intention and action, not because you're stern, but because your circuits anticipate relief. Relief, not pressure, is the sustainable fuel. Sometimes the obstacle isn't noise but cluttered thinking. Enter the single-channel rule. When you aim, you commit to outputting in 1 channel, text, sketch, spreadsheet, outline, without jumping channels mid-sprint. Channel switching is costly, different circuits, different motor plans. If a new channel's need arises, You jot a parking lot tag and keep your wheels in the same grooves. 12 minutes of one channel beats 30 of hopscotch. After, you can deliberately switch. This makes your attention feel like a sturdy raft rather than a handful of leaves. Pause again, breathe slow, feel the temperature of the room on your cheeks. Notice the slight weight of gravity on your eyelids. Let your belly puff a millimeter on the inhale. Name the nearest texture out loud: wood, glass, cloth. This is you tuning your spotlight with the senses that live in the same skull as your plans. Let's talk about rescue procedures. Even pilots get wind shear. Use the 3-breath reacquire when you get yanked by a notification or an internal alarm. Breath 1, long exhale, label pulled. Breath 2, place 2 fingers on the desk and feel pressure, label here. Breath 3, whisper your aim again, label resume. You just taught your amygdala that a pull does not equal a problem. Recovery without drama is the backbone of lifelong focus. Perfection is brittle, recovery is rubber. Another human moment, the kind you remember because it felt like a fork in the day. You're halfway through a sprint when a message pings from someone you care about. Your chest tightens. The old pattern is to ricochet into the thread, leaving your lane bleeding. You practice the boundary loop with kindness. I'm in a focus block. I'll read this fully at 1:15. You set a reminder. You name the feeling, concern, tug, and place a hand on your chest for a single breath. You return to the sentence at hand. At 1:15, you give the message your full presence. The relationship improves because your attention is a gift, not spare change. Identity again, because this is not just about doing more. It's about becoming the person who creates deep pockets of quiet in a loud world. Say it gently: I am the one who builds rooms where my best work shows up. You are the awareness, not the twitch. You are the curator, not every exhibit. When you feel scattered, you don't hunt for a bigger hammer. You step into your dome, place your triangle, and begin. That's who you are now, not tomorrow, not when the calendar calms down. Now, in the exact room you're in, with the exact life you have. Before we close, run a live dome triangle cycle together. Choose one tiny, honest task you can start. Place or imagine your lamp, your sound, your scent. Feel the mug's warmth or the desk's coolness. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Aim with one clear sentence. Touch thumb and forefinger for 2 breaths. Feel the softness of skin, the faint pulse. Set a 6-minute timer if 12 feels high gravity. Advance with the smallest first action. When it ends, mark the cycle complete. A dot on paper, a tick in your log, a soft yes under your breath. Let that yes echo behind your sternum like a struck bell. Notice your body one last time, the weight of your hands, the gentle looseness at the back of your mouth, the sense that the room is friendlier when you have a plan. That friendliness is not a fantasy. It's your nervous system receiving consistent signals that you are safe and competent here. The dome and the triangle are scaffolds. Soon you won't see them, you'll just see the view they made possible. And when the world bangs pots, you'll smile a little because you know where the dimmer is. Tomorrow you'll wake and slip into the tarmac almost without thinking. The lamp will glow, the soundtrack will breathe, the scent will say, "We begin." You'll place your aim like a painter placing a horizon. You'll anchor with a fingertip press or a palm's warmth. You'll advance one honest line. You'll feel the quiet victory arrive not as fireworks, but as a steady light behind your eyes. This is the life you are practicing. Fewer arguments with yourself, more finished thoughts, more evenings that feel like breathable air. Carry this with you into the next hour. Your attention is a room you can build anywhere you bring your breath, your cue cradle, and one sentence that tells your brain what to find. The rest turns down like a respectful audience before a concert because you taught it to. Today you'll train the part of you that whispers in your own ear. External noise is easy to blame, but the most persistent distractions wear your voice and your memories. You won't fight them, you'll retune them. Think of attention as a camera on a moving dolly. Thoughts and urges will step onto the track and wave their arms. Your job is not to eject them, it's to let them ride in the right car while your lens stays on the scene you chose. Two frameworks make this practical: the thought tag protocol and the three-angle reframe. The first creates distance without dismissal. The second reshapes meaning so your reticular activating system stops flagging every worry as priority one. Together, they turn reactive self-talk into a quiet, useful crew. Feel where your body touches the world. The chair receives your weight. The fabric against your forearms is slightly cooler than your skin. Inhale to 4 through your nose. Feel the faint sting of cooler air across the inner bridge. Hold for 4, like you're pausing on a landing. Exhale for 6 through soft lips and notice the tiny warmth across your upper lip. Let your shoulders drop a thumb's width and your jaw hinge loosen a notch. As your breath lengthens, your amygdala eases back, and your prefrontal cortex regains the authority to choose the story you're about to tell. The thought tag protocol is simple and powerful. When a thought pulls at you and behind, "This will be bad, I should check, I don't know enough," you add 3 words in front: "I'm having the thought." You can whisper it or write it in the margin. "I'm having the thought that I'm behind. I'm having the thought that I should check." It feels almost childish, yet it's precision engineering. Those words move the content from unquestioned fact to tagged signal. Your RAS hears the tag and lowers the urgency level because tagged items are safer. You haven't argued with the thought, you've placed a label on its lapel and walked it to a seat in the audience. Now the stage is yours again. A story to ground it. Tasha, a junior attorney, froze every time she opened a blank page for a brief. Her chest tightened and her throat felt like it was narrowing. She'd spin her chair and refresh email, then hate herself for spinning. One morning she tried the protocol. The moment her breath shortened, she wrote on a sticky note, "I'm having the thought that I will embarrass myself." She exhaled. The tightness didn't vanish, but it dropped from a 7 to a 4. She wrote another, "I'm having the urge to research one more case before I write." Again, a drop. She traced a rectangle in the air, aimed her attention, and typed one plain sentence. "This brief argues that the statute's intent covers our client's actions." The sentence hooked the sled to the slope. Gravity did more work than she expected. By lunch, she drafted the first section. She didn't cheer. She noted calmly that labeling made the day breathable. Pause and scan your senses like a lighthouse doing its slow, patient sweep. Name 3 textures within reach without moving: the smooth edge of your device, the grain of the desk, the soft give of your shirt. Hear the lowest hum in the room. Smell what's here, even if it's neutral. These anchors keep your attention in your body while thoughts parade by. You are not the parade, you're the street, and you're the person sweeping the confetti when the marching band moves on. Now the 3-angle reframe. Thoughts don't need to be forced into positivity to be helpful. In fact, sugarcoating triggers your inner fact-checker. Instead, you'll craft 3 plausible angles on the same event: a constructive negative, a neutral mechanic, and a forward-leaning possibility. Take the missed deadline. Constructive negative: "I dropped the ball because I didn't protect my opening window. That stings and I can repair it." Neutral mechanic: "My estimate missed by 40%. The tasks had 2 hidden dependencies." Forward-leaning possibility: "If I bookend tomorrow with the dome and triangle, I can deliver a tighter version and explain the fix. When you practice all three, your RAS stops spotlighting only threat cues. It begins surfacing cues for repair and next steps. You haven't lied to yourself. You've widened the frame until a path appears. A quick drill to make it automatic. Set a timer for 2 minutes. Write one sentence per angle about the current worry. Read them out loud once, not performatively, just clearly. As you read, press thumb to forefinger lightly and feel the pad heat. That pairing of language with sensation teaches your midbrain that reframing is embodied, not theoretical. Over days, your inner voice will start offering neutral mechanics and possibilities on its own, the way a well-trained assistant anticipates your needs. Check in with your breath again. Inhale to 4, hold to 4, exhale to 6. Notice the space behind your cheekbones, the way your tongue rests against the roof of your mouth, the little softening behind your eyes as you exhale. Imagine your attention like a handheld spotlight that warms the page you want to work on. Where you place it, color saturates. Where you do not, hues dim but do not disappear. There's relief in not needing to extinguish everything. Dimming is enough. Sometimes the most gripping thoughts are not about tasks, but about identity. I'm not the kind of person who finishes. I always lose focus in the afternoon. These are scripts, not truths. Use identity editing, a companion move. Add one word, yet. Then add one behavior anchor, when. I don't finish yet. When I run the tarmac and a 6-minute sprint, I finish grains. I lose focus in the afternoon yet. When I take a 2-minute walk and a glass of water, the middle window opens. The word yet keeps the door ajar. The when tells your nervous system what sequence to run next. Scripts shift, not by argument, but by evidence. Your next micro-action is the evidence. An evening scene to make it real. You're at your kitchen counter, light low, the faint citrus of a cleaned cutting board in the air. A message blinks on your phone, something snarky that used to hook you for an hour. Your chest tightens, your jaw nudges forward. You say quietly, I'm having the urge to clap back. You put the phone face down. You rinse a glass and feel cool water on your fingers. You breathe out for 6 counts and feel the warmth on your upper lip. You write on a sticky, reply tomorrow after the opening window, ask a clarifying question. The heat in your chest drops a degree. You didn't become a saint. You became a person who doesn't mortgage an evening to a moment. Under the hood, these moves change salience. The amygdala flags ambiguity. The RAS amplifies flagged items. Tagging converts alarm into information. Reframing widens predictive models in your prefrontal cortex so the RAS can deliver cues that match repair and action, not just threat. Pairing words with touch recruits sensoromotor networks, making the shift felt, not just understood. This is why breath plus sentence beats sentence alone. You're giving your system more levers to pull. Let's build a circuit you can run whenever your head fills with bees. Call it the bee box. Step into a quiet pocket, even if it's a mental one. Do one slow 4-4-6 breath. Name the laid thought with the tag. Offer the 3 angles in simple sentences. Choose one grain that fits in 6 minutes. Begin. When the timer ends, place your palm flat and say cycle complete. The box is less about bees and more about the feeling that you have a place to put them. When your mind believes there's a container, it hums at a lower pitch. Workplace snapshot. Omar manages a customer support team. Mondays used to drown him. He'd arrive to a queue of tickets and a Slack chorus of quick pings. He started running B-Box at 9:05 a.m. tag. I'm having the thought that I'm already behind. Angles, I didn't triage on Friday. I can apologize to myself and fix it. There are 67 tickets. The oldest is 20 hours. If I slice the queue by priority and assign, average response time drops by noon. Grain, write 3 priority labels, tag 15 tickets. He ran a 12-minute sprint. The chorus softened. By lunch, the cue felt human. By evening, Omar's body reported a different weather pattern, less static under the skin, steadier breath at his collarbones, a looser jaw. He didn't become a superhero. He became a calmer conductor. Pause, close your eyes for one breath if that's comfortable. Notice the weight of your hands. Notice whether one foot presses the floor more than the other. Sense the coolness of the air you pull in and the warmth you let go. Hear one far sound and one near sound. This micro scan is a quiet handshake with your nervous system. It says, I'm here, we are safe, we can choose. There's a cousin to the thought tag you'll want for sensations themselves. Call it the weather label. When you feel a rush, heat in the face, prickles across the scalp, heaviness in the limbs, you name it like a meteorologist. Warm front in the chest, static on the neck, fog in the head. You don't romanticize, you report. Weather watches don't require belief, they require observation. As you report, you run the 90-second weather rule. It's not an interruption, it's maintenance. Your attention engine runs cooler when weather is acknowledged. What about when the thought feels sticky because it's true? You made a mistake. You forgot a commitment. The 3-angle reframe still applies with a small addition, repair move. After the 3 angles, you choose one action that repairs trust either with yourself or with someone else. Send a clean apology and a new plan. Move tomorrow's opening window to this fix. Rename the calendar event to prevent the repeat. Repair ends rumination loops. The brain stops chewing when it tastes action. A brief story of repair. May missed a promised draft to her co-founder. Shame flared hot and bright. She tagged it, I'm having the thought that she'll think I'm unreliable. Angles followed. Repair move. Text a direct apology and a revised checkpoint by 4 p.m. She did it, then ran a 6-minute sprint to outline the missing section. The shame didn't vanish. It shrank to a useful edge that kept her honest. They shipped 2 days later. May noted the shift in her log. Shame became a steering wheel instead of a wall. That sentence became a future cue. The RAS loves phrases it can reuse. Feel the chair again. Feel your spine's gentle curve. Let the back of your throat relax. Place a fingertip on the desk and press until you notice warmth, then release. That little heat is proof you are here. You can't be entirely inside a thought while you're feeling heat in your fingertip. Embodiment is a doorway, and you have the key anytime. To support these shifts, you'll tune your attention diet for inner speech. For 7 days, keep a running margin note of your top 3 recurring thought hooks. Not pages, just a tally with a word or two. Behind, not ready, check. Each time you tag and reframe one, put a tiny dot next to it. At the end of each day, glance at the dots and write one sentence about what changed in your body before and after a reframe. Over a week, you'll watch your hooks lose teeth. Not because you yelled at them, but because they learned their place. Another setting, this time as you walk. Pavement underfoot, a faint rubbery scent after a light rain, air damp against your cheeks. Your mind chews on a conversation from earlier, you tag it. I'm having the thought that I sounded foolish. You offer the 3 angles while you pass a streetlight. You feel your arms swing, one slightly heavier than the other. You pick a grain, send one line of appreciation to the person, not as a shield, but as a human. You type it at the next corner, then put your phone away. Your breath evens. The evening expands by an inch. There will be thoughts that argue back. Tagging is silly. Reframing is spin. Don't wrestle, label those two. I'm having the thought that this is silly. Smile even a millimeter. The goal isn't to be convinced, it's to be effective. You are not a courtroom, you're a studio. In a studio, the point is to make Thought tools that let you make more cleanly are not tricks, they are part of the craft. A rescue for the grippiest loops is the 90-second detour. When your brain locks on a worry and keeps circling, you step aside from both worry and work for 90 seconds of deliberate physicality, 10 slow squats while breathing out long, a wall push with palms flat and elbows bending then straightening, a slow stretch where you roll your shoulders and neck like you're pouring sand from a jar. As blood moves, your interoceptive map updates. The loop loses some glue. You return to your aim with less static. You didn't distract yourself. You recalibrated the instrument you use to aim. Identity always, you are not your loudest thought. You are the one who hears it and chooses where to place your light. Say it softly now. I am the awareness behind the words in my head, and I brief those words to serve my focus. Let that line sink somewhere you can feel, maybe the sternum, a warm coin, maybe the space behind your eyes, a cool lake. Tie it to a breath. Tie it to the feeling of your fingertips on a surface. When identity anchors to sensation, it stops being a poster and becomes a switch. Let's run a full minute together, a live thought tag sequence. Bring to mind a current tug. Whisper the tag. Offer your 3 angles in quick, honest phrases, no flourish. Pick one grain that fits in 6 minutes and say it out loud. Inhale to 4, hold to 4, exhale to 6. Trace your rectangle. Place your fingers on home row or wrap them around a pen. Begin the grain if you can. If not now, set the timer for later and write the time down. Either way, press your palm to the desk and mark cycle queued or cycle complete. Your nervous system counts that mark. As you settle back, notice what changed. Maybe your shoulders feel one shade lower, or your scalp tingles less, or your breath slides more easily. Maybe nothing dramatic happened. Maybe the drama is what's missing. Boring is beautiful in focus work. Boring means the machinery hums. That hum is what gets you to the end of an hour with something true on the page and a body that doesn't feel punished. You're building a town inside your head where thoughts know the traffic laws. They can drive, they just can't run red lights. You're the patient traffic cop, not the swearing driver. You'll keep practicing until you barely notice you're doing it. A thought tugs, you tag it. A meaning narrows, you widen it. A worry loops, you detour and return. The work gets done. The evening's open. The phone becomes a tool again, not a leash. Before we close, plan tomorrow's first reframe target. Picture your opening window. See the light, hear the room tone, feel the chair. Imagine the thought that usually arrives first. Write the tag now so it's waiting where your eyes will land. Draft the 3 angles. Place your cue cradle nearby, the lamp, the scent, the sound. When morning comes, you won't negotiate with a fog. You'll read a script you wrote in clear weather. That's kindness to your future self, and your future self is who turns goals into gentle facts. Breathe one more time with me. Inhale to 4, hold to 4, exhale to 6. Feel your ribs move under your palms if you place them there, one on chest, one on belly. Feel the heaviness in your hands, the warmth in your fingertips, the steadiness of the chair. Say quietly but firmly, I brief my mind with tags and angles. I am the one who chooses my next true action. Then choose the grain or choose rest on purpose. The difference between drift and rest is permission, and permission is a decision only you can grant. This is how your focus switch grows roots, not through force, but through rituals that make sense to your biology, not through perfection, but through graceful recovery. When the world shouts, you'll hear it and still hear yourself. When your thoughts shout, you'll nod and keep writing. The switch becomes less of a thing you do and more of a way you are. That way is quiet, sturdy, and generous with your attention to yourself and to the people who get the best of you because you chose where to look. Today you'll wire your focus switch to the oldest system you own, your body's energy cycles. Attention isn't just psychology, it's physiology wearing a headset. When the tank is low, the best intentions skid. You'll stop treating focus like a moral test and start treating it like a metabolic one. Two frameworks will carry you: the fuel, flow, friction triad and the Ultradian Rider. The triad gives you levers for what your brain consumes, how it moves, and what slows it. The rider teaches you to surf 90-minute waves your nervous system naturally generates. No pep talks, only switches you can feel with your hands and breath. Feel your hands right now. Notice their weight on the keyboard or the table. Rub thumb over forefinger and catch the ridges of your skin, a faint sandpaper. Inhale to 4, hold to 4, exhale to 6, and sense the cool air come in and a warmer ribbon leave. Your shoulders give up a millimeter. This is the first truth of focus. The body is the gate. When you approach the gate with safety, the prefrontal cortex gets blood and oxygen, and your reticular activating system stops flinging red flags at every shadow. The fuel, flow, friction triad begins with fuel. You felt the crash after a pastry and the calm, steady line after protein and fiber. That isn't moral, it's glucose dynamics. Your brain burns a steady stream of glucose and oxygen to keep the prefrontal cortex online. Wild spikes make the amygdala jittery and the RAS hungry for novelty. Your rule is small and kind. Front-load stable fuel in the opening window and keep water within reach. A glass nearby isn't a lifestyle hack, it's delivery. Dehydration by even a few percent slows processing and makes thoughts feel heavier than they are. You will install a water cue into your dome. When the lamp goes on, the glass is filled. When the timer starts, you sip. That's fuel. Flow is movement that refreshes without stealing the hour. The vagus nerve loves rhythm, so you adopt the 33 rule. Every 30 minutes, or at the end of a 12-minute sprint, you give your body 3 purposeful movements: a slow neck roll, a shoulder sweep forward and back, a calf pump, or a stand and sway. Oxygen rises, the interoceptive map updates, the salience network recalibrates. The point isn't steps, it's circulation. You'll pair flow with the 20-20-20 reset. Every 20 minutes, look 20 feet away for 20 seconds. Your visual system stops screaming for novelty because you fed it distance and depth. Friction is anything that makes the first inch of a task sticky. Too cold, too hot, hard chair, screen glare, a cluttered desktop, a buzzing phone. But friction also lives inside the task. Unclear definitions of done, missing materials, a login that fails twice. You'll run a friction sweep before each window, 90 seconds to remove 3 grains of grit. Stack the materials, open the correct file, write the acceptance criteria at the top in 1 line. The sweep is a kindness to your future focus. It's how you make the first step feel like a slope instead of a wall. An anecdote with fluorescent lights and stale coffee. Ravi manages a small engineering team and believed distraction meant he lacked discipline. Afternoons felt like wading through soup. He adopted the triad for 1 week, no heroics. Fuel, protein plus fruit at 11:30, water glass refilled at every dome cue. Flow, a 3-move reset between sprints, a hallway loop after the middle window. Friction, headphones and a sticky note checklist. Open logs, load test data, define done. The second afternoon he noticed something strange. The I should check messages ache got quieter by itself. His RAS, fed and oxygenated, stopped begging for sugar pings. He described it later as a thicker floor under me, the sense that tasks no longer punched holes in his attention. He didn't become a new person. He gave the old person a better cockpit. Pause and bring attention to your mouth. Notice if your tongue is pressed to the roof or clamped to your teeth. Let it float. Feel the skin along your jaw soften a notch. The air on your cheeks is maybe a degree cooler than your neck. Your breath leaves a soft warmth on your upper lip. These are not small things. They're the dashboard lights that tell you how your engine is running. When a light flashes, you don't slap it for being bright, you adjust the system. Now the Ultradian Rider. Your body runs in 90-minute tides called Ultradian rhythms. For roughly 70 to 90 minutes, your alertness rises, then it dips for 15 to 20. You've felt this for years, those late morning waves, the early afternoon lull. Most people push through the dip with caffeine and friction. You will ride it. Plan your focus switch sprints as clusters inside a wave. 2 or 3 12-minute sprints with 1-minute breaths and tiny flow resets between, then a deliberate downshift when the dip arrives. Downshift doesn't mean doom scroll. It means a reset ritual. Water, stretch, distant gaze, one slow walk to a window, one paragraph of review rather than creation. When you cooperate with your cycles, the prefrontal cortex thanks you by returning stronger on the next crest. A bus stop story. Nia is a high school teacher who used to grade until her skull hummed. She marked her Ultradian waves for 3 days with a simple body note every hour. Sharp, foggy, meh, patterns appeared. Her opening window rode a wave from 7:45 to 9:15. A dip hit at 10:30. She rearranged what she could. Creation at crest, admin at dip. A reset ritual at 10:30, water, 3 moves, free writing 2 sentences about what the class did well. The RAS, briefed to find winds not fires, stopped sounding alarms at 10:30. By 3 p.m., Nia reported a softer weight behind her eyes and the eerie new experience of walking out of school with attention left over for her own life. That leftover attention is wealth. You're learning to mint it. Sense into your spine. Let it lengthen an inch without stiffening, like a string lifting the crown of your head. Feel the pressure where your sit bones meet the chair. Notice the skin temperature on your forearms. Hear a distant sound, the hum of HVAC, a car tire whisper, a small tick somewhere in the room. These checks are not delays. They are the acts by which you keep the instrument tuned while you play. To weld the Triad and the Rider into your day, use the oxygen-glucose loop. Before a sprint, breathe 2-4-4-6 cycles, sip water, and do 1 flow movement. After a sprint, do a single long exhale through pursed lips, sip again, and run your eye reset. That's less than 30 seconds of prep and less than 15 seconds of close. The loop teaches your nervous system that every cycle begins and ends with small relief. Relief is how habits stick. Your basal ganglia tag the sequence as valuable because it consistently ends better than it started. Another scene, quiet and domestic. It's late afternoon. Sun through blinds stripes your desk. You feel that gummy heaviness behind your forehead, a sign you're in the trough. Old you would white knuckle. New you runs the reset ritual. Stand, stretch arms overhead and side bend twice. Exhale long like fogging a cold window. Let your eyes find the farthest thing you can see. Sip water that tastes faintly like metal or lemon. You sit. You choose a grain, not a boulder, for the next sprint. Polish the first paragraph's verbs. You feel your breath deepen by a half-inch. The paragraph leans into clarity like a picture coming into focus. You end the day with coherence, not crumbs. Let's address caffeine, a beloved co-pilot that can also yank the controls. Use the caffeine compass. 2 questions: what is the job and what is the cost? Use small doses anchored to crests, not troughs. A cup with breakfast to lift the opening window, then switch to water or tea by midday so your close window can be calm and your sleep architecture clean. If you must add a dose, pair it with a protein snack and your 20-20-20 gaze reset. Your goal is not heroics. Your goal is a nervous system that trusts you. Under the hood, you're playing with the default mode network, the executive network, and the salience network's handshakes. When you hydrate, breathe, and move, you increase heart rate variability, a proxy for flexible control. The amygdala eases, the prefrontal cortex receives more oxygenated blood, and the RAS shifts its criteria from anything urgent to anything relevant to the aim. The science is a scaffolding. Your lived sensations are the truth. If your attention feels steadier and your body less clenched, the system is responding. A different kind of anecdote, this time with a graduate student named Lee who lived on chips and adrenaline. He gave himself an experiment, 4 weeks of Triad plus Rider. He ate an actual breakfast. He scheduled his code sessions to ride crests and did data cleaning during dips. He put his phone in a fabric pouch that lived behind him during sprints. The first week, he noticed he didn't crave drama at 2 p.m. The second, he noticed his evening appetite for conversation returned. The third, he wrote in his log, "Rooms in my day with doors that actually close." The fourth, his advisor called his progress boringly consistent, the compliment Lee didn't know he craved. Consistency is the adult version of magic. Touch your face lightly with the back of your hand and feel the temperature difference. Press your feet into the floor until your quads awake. Release, wiggle your toes, let your gaze soften and then sharpen on one point you choose. These micro acts are power switches. You can flip them anywhere: a conference room, a bus seat, a kitchen counter at 9 p.m. Focus isn't a temple, it's a toolkit. To make this stick, you'll log not just tasks but weather. The focus weather log is 1 line per window. Before, tight chest, dry mouth, 4:10 energy. After, warm hands, looser jaw, 7:10. Your RAS loves patterns. When it sees that your rituals produce warmer hands and looser jaws, it begins to anticipate the relief and brings the cues faster. This is how you learn your personal signatures. Maybe your ears get warm when you crest. Maybe your shoulders float when you dial in. Personal signatures beat general advice. You'll stop arguing with books and start listening to your body. There will be days you sleep poorly or stress lands like a weight plate and the triad feels like too much. Shrink it. That's the micro triad. Fuel is 1 glass of water and 10 almonds or a slice of cheese or a spoon of yogurt, whatever is available. Flow is 3 breaths and 1 stretch. Friction is closing 2 tabs and writing a single sentence aim. Then a 6-minute sprint. You do not earn focus by suffering. You build it by returning kindly again and again with whatever you have. An example from a kitchen at dawn. You stand barefoot on cool tile. The kettle hums. The light is blue and gentle. You hold a mug that warms your fingers. You whisper your aim, outline 3 points for the client call. You sip, you breathe, you look out a window at a tree 2 houses away, its leaves dark, edges soft. You set 6 minutes. The outline appears in sketch lines. You end the sprint and feel a small click behind your eyes, a crispness. The day hasn't started yelling yet, and you've already told your brain what to find. You'll carry that instruction like a laminated card in your pocket. Identity seals this. You are not a tired person trying to focus. You are a focusing person who tends to energy like a craftsperson tends to tools. Say it softly: I am the steward of my attention's fuel, flow, and friction. You are the awareness who notices the crest and the trough and chooses the right action for each. You stop grading yourself and start guiding yourself. Guidance feels like warmth across the sternum and a little more space behind the eyes. That space is where your best ideas land. Let's run a 1-minute Ultradian Rider microcycle now. Sit as you are, Inhale to 4, hold to 4, exhale to 6 twice. Sip water if you can. Roll your shoulders forward and back once. Pick a grain that fits inside 6 minutes. Whisper your aim. Look far for 20 seconds. Count the edges of something in the distance. Return your gaze. Set a 6-minute timer or count 60 long breaths if you have no clock. Begin. When you finish, exhale long, sip once more, and touch the desk with your palm, feeling that brief warmth. Say, cycle complete, even if only your ears hear it. Notice what shifted. The hum of the room may be dropped half a step. Your hands may feel heavier in a good way, like tools you can trust. The screen looks less like a carnival and more like a canvas. This is not motivation, this is mechanics. You are wiring sequences your nervous system likes because they reward it with steady states instead of spikes. Steady beats spiky, always. Prepare your next opening window now while your mind is clear. Place your water where your hand will find it. Set your lamp and your sound. Write your aim on a card and tuck it on your keyboard. Decide your fuel. Decide one flow move you'll do between sprints. Plan the reset ritual for when the dip comes. Imagine the dip and imagine yourself smiling at it like an old friend who always shows up at 10:30. You won't resent it anymore, you'll use it. Breathe once more with a hand on your sternum and one on your belly. Feel the gentle drum of your heart. Sense the fabric at your wrist. Smell whatever the room offers, coffee, paper, soap. Hear the fast sound, maybe traffic, maybe wind. You are here in a body that can be briefed, in a mind that can be steered. You don't need to conquer your day. You need to ride its waves and feed the rider. Each time you do, the focus switch stops being a trick and becomes your baseline. Carry this sentence into the next hour. I move attention with breath, water, and wise cycles. I am not the wave, I am the one who rides. Put it where your eyes will meet it. Let your nervous system recognize the words. Let your habits meet them with actions so small they feel like nods. Soon, the nod becomes a lean, the lean becomes a step, the step becomes an hour of clean work. Then the evening feels quieter, like a room with open windows after rain. Today you'll master the part most people skip, designing finish lines so your attention knows when to sprint and when to stop. Endless tasks leak focus because there's no edge, no click, no we're home. Your brain loves closure. It releases effort when it recognizes done. Without that sensation, your reticular activating system keeps the channel open, nagging and scanning. You'll fix this with 2 frameworks, finish line design and the progress compass. Finish line design turns foggy goals into edges your nervous system can actually cross. The progress compass orients you in the middle of messy work so you don't lose the thread. Together, they turn work from an endless hallway into rooms with doors you can close. Start by coming back to your body. Let your feet find the ground, toes spreading inside your shoes. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Feel the skin on your forearms cool slightly as air moves. Soften your jaw so your molars don't touch. Your shoulders drop a thumb width. You're not getting ready to focus. You're sending a memo to every level of your system that a clear beginning is here, which means a clear ending will be too. Finish line design begins with a blunt sentence. This is done when, then you add 3 checkable criteria you can sense or see, not make it good, but deliver 150 words that summarize the argument. Export 1-page PDF with title and date. Send to 2 people. Each criterion must be binary. Either it happened or it didn't. Your RAS then has something it can hunt, like faces in a crowd. Vague finish lines keep your midbrain nervous. Crisp ones soothe it. When you pair a crisp finish with a short sprint, the nervous system learns to expect relief on schedule. That expectation is jet fuel for habits. A story from a morning lit by pale sun and the smell of printer paper. Daniel, a product marketer, carried tasks like backpacks with no zippers. Work on positioning, his calendar said. His attention would start and stop like a car in traffic, then stall. He tried finish line design for one campaign. He wrote, "This is done when a 100-word positioning statement exists. An internal FAQ has 5 questions and answers, and the doc is exported as PDF and shared in the channel." He breathed 446, traced his rectangle, and started a 12-minute sprint. The first draft sounded clunky, the FAQ had holes. But halfway through, he felt something new, the tug of an ending, like a finished tape waiting around a corner. He crossed it in 2 cycles, sent the PDF, and felt a physical click behind his eyes. Not fireworks, closure. That click is what your brain craves, more than praise, more than likes. It's the permission to rest. Check your senses now. Hear a far sound, maybe traffic hush, maybe a building's breath. Notice the temperature at your cheeks compared to your neck. Slide one fingertip along the desk and feel the difference between matte and smooth. These details anchor you to the world where finish lines live, in sight, touch, sound, not just in ideas. The progress compass is how you steer when the path isn't linear. It has 4 bearings. North is value, why this matters to someone you care about. East is evidence, how you'll know you moved. South is next, what tiny step earns momentum. West is waste, what you'll deliberately ignore during this sprint. You speak the compass in one breath before you begin. North, help the client decide faster. East, 1-page PDF sent. South, write the 100-word summary now. West, no slide formatting. The compass converts a swirl of possibilities into a single vector. Your RAS loves vectors. It filters for cues that belong on the line you just drew. Anecdote in fluorescent conference room light. Serena runs operations at a non-profit. Her afternoons dissolved into a soup of Slack pings and donor spreadsheets. She started using the progress compass out loud, even whispering it at her desk. North, less back and forth for the team. East, shared doc with steps. South, write the steps for intake. West, ignore analytics tabs. Her colleagues later told her they noticed a difference. She looked there like she had an inside track she trusted. That's what orientation feels like from the outside. From the inside, it feels like fewer micro-decisions and more glide. Pair finish line design with a micro-drill called the snapshot test. Before a sprint, you imagine taking a photo of your screen or notebook at done. What would the photo show? A subject line at the top, a 3-bullet outline, a saved file name. Write exactly what the photo would capture in 1 sentence. Then run the sprint to make the image real. The visual rehearsal primes your hippocampus. When the scene appears, your brain clicks and releases effort. You'll feel the click in your chest, a small settling, like a coin landing in a dish. Breathe with me again. Inhale to 4, hold to 4, exhale to 6. Let your tongue rest on the roof of your mouth just behind your teeth. Sense your palms, any warmth there. That warmth is blood flow. Blood flow is focus's friend. This is not decoration, it's the plumbing of attention. Sometimes we sabotage finish lines by adding glitter at the start. That's perfectionism wearing perfume. Use the ugly first pass. You declare that the first crossing is intentionally plain. You even mark it in the doc header, ugly pass. Your RAS stops searching your memory for fancy phrases and starts retrieving basics. Basics move you. Once you cross the first line, you can run a second quick lap called the shine sweep. Replace 3 verbs with stronger ones, cut 1 sentence, add 1 clarifying example. 2 passes, 2 clicks. Your brain loves the rhythm. A story with coffee and rain. Hannah designs slide decks for technical talks. She used to spend an hour picking a template, then panic. She switched to ugly first pass, no template, black text on white, titles first. This is done when there are 9 slide titles and each has 1 sentence. She wrote them in 12 minutes, then ran a shine sweep, added images later. Her feedback score didn't drop, her heart rate did. She reported a strange joy, ending on purpose, not from exhaustion. Scan your field, feel the gentle weight of your device, hear the whisper of air movement in the room, smell anything faint, soap, paper, dust. Notice your eyes wanting to hop. Invite them to rest on a single point you choose. That choice is practice. Where your eyes go, your attention follows. The largest enemy of finish lines is scope creep, especially from within. You need a tool for that moment. Your brain whispers, while you're at it, enter the scope gate. When scope expands mid-sprint, you capture it in a parking lot and ask 2 questions. Does this belong to this finish line, and does adding it now increase or decrease the chance I'll cross? If it decreases, it waits. You are not denying quality, you are sequencing quality. Quality without finish lines is theater. Quality with finish lines is delivery. Under the hood, you're working with 2 systems. Your seeking system, which loves exploration, and your executive system, which loves closure. Finish lines satisfy both. You explore within the boundary, then you close. Your basal ganglia mark the closure with a dopamine bump that's small but reliable. Reliability beats novelty when building identity. This is how you become the person whose attention shows up and lands regularly. Let's build a tiny ritual to install finish line design. Call it the edge cue. Before each focus window, you write 1 line at the top of your working surface. Done equals binary criteria. You speak the progress compass once. You breathe 446. You trace the rectangle. You begin. At the end, you stamp a small symbol in your log, a dot, a check, a triangle. The stamp is your nervous system's confetti. You don't need an app. You need a mark your body recognizes. Over weeks, you'll glance at a page of dots and feel a soft pride settle behind your sternum, not in your ego but in your chest, where breathing happens. A workplace vignette with flickering fluorescent, a smell of dry erase markers. Tom pilots a customer rollout. His team used to drown in almost. He implemented Edge Queue for every deliverable. They ended meetings by writing done demo video uploaded, FAQ V1, email drafted and scheduled. Midweek, a partner asked for 1 more scenario. Tom ran scope gate. Great, does it belong to this finish line? If it helps adoption now, we'll include. If it's nice to have, we'll queue it for V2. He stayed warm, didn't apologize for defending edges and shipped on time. Adoption improved. The team slept. Pause, place 1 palm flat on the desk or your thigh. Feel the warmth, the skin giving to pressure, the small pulse if you're still. That pulse is your metronome. Work with it, not against it. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Sometimes the edge is too far away. Your brain can't feel it, so it doesn't aim. Use the halfway hook. If your finish line design feels distant, define a halfway done that has its own binary criteria and its own stamp. Halfway equals outline exists and 3 sources chosen. Cross it, stamp it, then reset your breath and cross the second half. 2 victories means 2 closures. Your seeking system gets to play twice. Your executive system gets to tidy twice. An anecdote from a small kitchen at night. Marco runs a bakery. Paperwork was his kryptonite. He made halfway hooks for finance tasks he avoided. First hook, halfway receipts sorted by month and scanned. Second, done spreadsheet totals filled and emailed to accountant. He paired each with a playlist and a cup of mint tea. The first week, he didn't dread Sundays. He finished earlier and spent the last half-hour making dough for tomorrow, which reminded him why he runs a bakery. Finish lines are not only about getting out, they're also about getting back to what you love. Your progress compass needs fuel in the swampy middle, where doubt rises. Add a mid-sprint check called the North Tap. Halfway through a 12-minute sprint, you tap the table twice and whisper your North for the client, for the student, for my future self. The tap pulls the compass out of memory and into your hands. It's ridiculous how well this works. The midbrain notices the tactile cue and reorients. You feel a tiny lift in your chest, like a bird tilt. That tilt can carry you through the last 4 minutes. Bring your senses back. Feel air move across your lips as you exhale. Hear a near sound, a click, a rustle. Taste whatever lingers, coffee, mint, neutral. Let your spine lengthen by 1 vertebra. Your body is the best project manager you own. It tells you when drift begins by tightening, when relief arrives by warming. You're learning to listen. Let's address teamwork. Finish line design scales. When you ask someone for something, you include the edge. This is done when the draft has an opening hook, 3 subheads, and a call to action. Share as PDF by 3 p.m. When you receive a task without an edge, you ask, what will done look like on your screen? People trust you faster when you ship to the picture in their heads. Teams that do this spend less time in clarification purgatory and more time in clean completion. That calm spreads like a scent. Underneath the framework sits identity. You are not a person who chases endings. You are a person who declares and creates them. You are the awareness that chooses edges and walks across them. Say it quietly, I create clean finish lines and my attention loves crossing them. Feel where that sentence lands. Maybe it warms your sternum like a small sun. Maybe it cools the space behind your eyes like shade. Tie it to breath and to the faint weight of your hands. Identity without sensation is a slogan. Identity with sensation is a switch. A rescue procedure for days when everything overflows, the one-edge day. When chaos floods, you choose a single finish line to create and cross. You let the rest be triage. You mark the crossing with a larger stamp and you write 1 line in your log about your body. Before jittery 3:10 calm. After heavier hands 6:10 calm. You teach your system that even on heavy days, edges exist and you can reach them. That memory is resilience. Now run a live micro sequence. Pick a piece of work you can move. Write your edge line, done equals speak your compass once. Inhale for 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Trace your rectangle. Set a 6-minute timer if 12 feels heavy. Begin the ugly first pass. If a while you're at it thought arrives, park it and ask the gate questions. At minute 3, do the North Tap, 2 fingers, 2 light taps, whisper the why. When the timer ends, perform a shine sweep if you have 90 seconds. 1 verb swap, 1 cut, 1 clarifier. Then stamp your mark. Pause and notice the click. Where is it? Eyes, chest, hands. Place your attention there for 1 breath. That's your signature. You'll discover your personal edge preferences. Some love numbers, 147 words, 3 examples. Some love artifacts, 1-page PDF, file saved with date. Some love social closure, sent to person. Use the edges that make your body exhale. If a finish line doesn't produce the click, refine it. Your log will teach you the rule is not perfection, the rule is felt closure. Another vignette softer, a living room at dusk. A plant's leaves make shadows on the wall. You sit cross-legged with a notebook. You write done message drafted and scheduled for mom's birthday. You set 6 minutes. You write, you schedule. You feel the click and a warmth spreads across your face because you can picture her smile. Finish lines are an act of love. They free the attention you'll spend on people and moments, not just projects. As this part closes, imagine future you standing in a week where edges are clear. Days feel like rooms you can enter and leave, not like an airport you sleep in. Your log shows a constellation of quiet stamps. Your body reports fewer jitters, more grounded weight in your hands, a steadier breath under your collarbones. This is not a motivational speech. It's a sensory report from a life with edges. You designed the edges, you walked across them. The click taught your nervous system to trust you. Breathe once more. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Feel the firmness of the chair. Feel the temperature of your palms. Hear a small sound and allow it to be background. Say the line that turns this into identity. I choose crisp finish lines, cross them with presence, and let my attention rest. You are the awareness behind the tasks, not the tasks. You are the one who names the door and steps through. When you stand up or turn to the next thing, carry the compass in your pocket. North, east, south, west. Whisper it like directions to a place you love. Pair it with the edge cue and the north tap. Collect clicks like smooth stones. Put one in your pocket, metaphorically or literally. When the world shouts, touch the stone and remember, you don't need to finish everything now, you need to finish one honest edge, then another, then rest on purpose. You are not building a productivity machine, you're building a human day that ends. That ending is part of the focus. Without it, attention has no home. With it, attention returns tomorrow like a loyal dog because it trusts you to go for a walk and also to come back. You've built inner switches and clean finish lines. Now you'll fortify your focus in the wild, teams, families, open offices, buzzing chats, the world that does not care about your plan. External interruptions aren't just inconvenient, they're costly state changes. Every unplanned switch flushes working memory and forces your prefrontal cortex to reload context like a heavy file. You don't need to isolate yourself to protect attention. You'll install social architecture, the switchboard method, and the two-signal protocol. The switchboard routes inputs to the right lane without you playing whack-a-mole. The two-signal protocol teaches the people around you exactly when you're available and exactly when you're under the dome. Together, they turn chaos into choreography, so your reticular activating system stops treating every ping like a fire alarm. Start where every sturdy boundary begins, in your body. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Feel the cool slip of air at your nostrils, the warmer ribbon leave. Notice your shoulders lower by a thumb's width. Let your tongue rest on the roof of your mouth and your jaw hinge soften until your molars don't quite touch. The chair receives your weight fully. When your body believes you're safe, your voice carries differently. Boundaries said from braced muscles sound like arguments. Boundaries said from settled muscles sound like facts. The switchboard method has 3 routes your inputs can take: liveline, queue, and archive. Liveline is reserved for the 2 or 3 people who may interrupt you during a window because safety or revenue depends on it. Queue is where non-urgent requests land to be batched at specific times. Archive is what you ignore or mute by default. You don't announce this with fireworks, you design it into your tools. Liveline contacts have a distinctive tone or channel. Everything else loses banners and sounds. You train the world by how you respond. You also train your RAS. When only one tone can pierce the dome, your salience network stops yanking your attention toward every buzz. Relief replaces vigilance. An everyday story in warm office light. Keisha leads customer success. Her day used to be a long string of quick questions. Her heart rate ticked up any time Slack chirped. She built a switchboard. Liveline became her manager and top client, Queue became an intake form linked in her status. Archive became 4 channels she muted for 48 hours at a time. Then she wrote one warm status line that did half the work. Focus window on account analyses. Ping me on live line if critical. Otherwise drop your request here and I'll triage at 1 p.m. The first week, she worried people would think she was aloof. They thought she was clear. By Thursday, Keisha's body reported less static in her forearms and a steadier breath under her collarbones. She finished 2 analyses in the time one used to take, not through heroics, but through routing. Pause and check your senses. Hear the lowest ongoing hum in the room, maybe air, maybe a faint electrical buzz. Feel the temperature difference between your cheeks and your neck. Touch the desk with a fingertip and rub slowly until warmth blooms. This is you returning to the cockpit while the tower speaks. You can listen without handing over the controls. The 2-signal protocol is simple. It pairs a visual cue with a verbal script. Signal 1 means interruptible. Signal 2 means in a window. Your visual cues can be a lamp color, a small desk flag, a door angle, or headphones positioned a specific way. The verbal script is a sentence you repeat word for word until the world learns. I'm in a focus block. I can talk at 15 or 45. Repetition is kindness. Your colleagues stop guessing. Your nervous system stops bracing. The magic isn't the gadget, it's the consistency. When the same cue always precedes the same pattern, your midbrain relaxes. The amygdala stops priming for surprise. Anecdote in a shared studio that smelled faintly of sawdust and coffee. Matteo is a UX designer in a maker space where people pop in with ideas. He printed a tiny card with 2 icons, a bright circle and a dim circle. Bright on the desk meant interruptible, dim meant dome. He practiced the script until it was in his throat. I'm in a focus block. I can talk at 10 after. At first he felt robotic. Then his hands stopped shaking when he said it. The space adapted. Interruptions didn't vanish. They cued themselves. Matteo's attention felt like a boat with a keel, still affected by waves, but not tossed. You'll pair those structures with a recovery move for when the outside world still breaks through. Call it context reload. As soon as an interruption ends, you take 1-4-4-6 breath and you run a 2-line checkpoint in your doc. Before I was doing, next I will do, you read it out loud. You touch thumb to forefinger for 2 breaths. That pairing of language and sensation reloads the working set in your prefrontal cortex. Without this, you burn minutes re-entering. With it, you spend 10 seconds and regain the thread. It feels like catching a dropped rope before it hits the ground. Notice your posture. Lengthen your spine 1 vertebra without stiffening. Let your hands rest heavier by a gram. Smell whatever faint scent is present: paper, soap, the ghost of coffee. These tiny check-ins are anchors that keep you from being swept by the social tide. Some interruptions are necessary. A child calls, a teammate blocks on a deploy, a courier knocks. You'll train your system with interruption triage. Ask 3 quiet questions in order, practically whispered. Is this safety or time critical? Am I the right first responder? What is the minimum wise step? If yes to the first, you handle it now. If no, but you are the right person, you schedule it with a single line sent back. On it at 2:30, you'll have an update by 3. If you're not the right responder, you route it and mark 1 line in your log, routed. Your RAS learns that being interrupted doesn't equal being captured. That 1 line in your log is a pressure valve. The act of recording closes a loop, so your mind doesn't chew it all afternoon. A domestic scene, because life doesn't happen in labs. Ari works from the kitchen table some mornings. The room smells faintly of toast. A dog ticks across the floor. Ari taught their partner the two-signal protocol with humor. If the ceramic mug sits on a blue coaster, that's signal 2. If it's on the table, signal 1. Ari used the same sentence every time. Focus block till 30. Can't wait to hear that at 35. The dog still ticked. The toast still smelled good, but Ari's work gained edges. Their relationship gained fewer sighs. Boundaries, spoken kindly, are love that can be scheduled. Pause and watch the breath at the base of your throat, where it gathers before sliding into the chest. Count 4 in, 4 hold, 6 out. Notice the jaw soften. Notice the sound in the room shift from foreground to background as you choose one thing to see. Attention is not a fist. It's a gaze that you can steer. To keep your switchboard honest, you need a weekly ritual that reassigns lanes. Call it the Friday relay. In 10 minutes, you list the recurring inputs that stole your week and decide their route for next week. A client who always calls for reassurance becomes Q with a scripted update email Monday at 9. A recurring bug becomes a live line for one engineer and archive for everyone else. You write one sentence per reassignment and share it with the people it affects. This isn't bureaucracy, it's teaching the world how to help you help them. Sharing the relay calms your amygdala because the next interruption is less unknown. Unknown is what spikes vigilance. Known is what makes your shoulders drop. Under the hood, you're reducing context switching costs. Each switch requires your brain to tear down and rebuild a network of active nodes, concepts, goals, motor plans. The more often this happens, the more glucose you burn on the rebuild instead of the work. The switchboard and two-signal protocol lower the number of rebuilds. Context reload lowers the cost of each. Your nervous system learns that focus is not fragile, it can bend and return. An anecdote in a glass-walled office where echoes make thoughts louder. Priyank leads a small analytics team. Stand-ups sprawled. Ad hoc asks atomized the day. He introduced the Friday relay and the two-signal protocol team-wide. They agreed on live line criteria, production outages and client escalations. Everything else went to an intake doc with 2 triage times daily. They practiced the script until they laughed at how repetitive they sounded. 2 weeks later, their cycle time tightened, but the bigger win was felt in their bodies. People reported fewer clenched jaws and fewer evenings where their thoughts vibrated. Data didn't just ship faster, it landed smoother. Bring your senses back now. Feel the weight of your device in your palms or the light pressure of your fingers on keys. Hear one near sound, maybe a tiny click or a fabric rustle. Spot one detail in your environment you've never noticed, a nick in the desk, a shadow line on the wall. This is you choosing your beam again, the behavior you're teaching your brain to default to after any interruption. Some of the noisiest interruptions live inside tech. You will design your attention stack to support the switchboard. Pin only the tabs that serve your current season. Dock your task app and your parking lot. Note where your eyes can dump and return. Turn off badges and leave a single scheduled sweep where you scan non-urgent notifications. You aren't rejecting the world, you're sequencing it. When your tools match your lanes, your RAS stops flagging every color and number as a threat. Bright red stops meaning, look now. It starts meaning, look then. There's a micro drill you'll use when someone ignores the protocol and barges in. Call it the gentle gate. You smile, really, you let your face soften by a millimeter and say, I want to give this my full brain. I'm in a focus window, can we do this at 20? If they insist, you ask, is this safety or time critical? Then you triage. You keep your body soft and your voice even. The calm is not performance, it's strategy. A calm nervous system teaches the other person's nervous system that collaboration is safe, which makes adherence more likely next time. You are not just managing tasks, you are shaping culture. A scene in a hallway lit by harsh light where people talk faster. Dana is a product lead known for being always on. It burned her out. She started using gentle gait. The first day, she said the line 5 times, heart thudding. By the third week, she said it twice and people started mirroring her language. A developer stopped at her desk, saw Signal 2 and slid her a note. Cue triage at 1. Dana felt warmth spread across her sternum. The protocol had left her mouth and entered the room. That is social architecture doing its job. Check your breath again. Inhale, hold, exhale. Feel the heaviness in your hands increase by a gram as you let your shoulders drop. The room's sounds soften, not because they're quieter, but because your system is filtering appropriately. You briefed the filter, it listened. Collaboration introduces another challenge, meetings that swallow the day. You'll run the 2-door meeting. Door 1 is decision or draft. Door 2 is synchronous or asynchronous. If a meeting invites you through both doors, decisions that require real-time debate, you go in, but only after you write the finish line in the invite. Done equals decision on X with owner and dates. If it's draft and a sync, you move it to a shared doc and set a comment deadline. You protect your opening and close windows for work that requires your switch. This isn't rebellion, it's respect for the kind of attention deep work demands. Your prefrontal cortex cannot do its best work under fluorescent. Could we just rain? Underneath, you're training identity in public. Each time you state a boundary with warmth, you reinforce, I am a person who brings full attention to one thing at a time and helps others do the same. Identity shows up in tone, in breathing pace, in whether your shoulders announce urgency or steadiness. People feel your identity before they read your status. Make it a calm lighthouse, not a fire truck. Let's install a routine to reset after heavy collaboration blocks. Call it the debrief dip. After a cluster of meetings, you don't sprint into output. You spend 4 minutes on body and brain, 2 rounds of 4-4-6, right before I was doing, next I will do, stand and roll your shoulders, look 20 feet away for 20 seconds. Then you start a 6-minute grain. The debrief dip returns you to yourself. It prevents the meeting hangover, where your nervous system hums with other people's voices, and your own work feels far away. A different space now, a library quiet enough to hear the turning of pages. Juno is a grad student who tutors between classes. Her signal is simple. When her notebook is open and a pencil lies across the top, it's Signal 2. She pairs it with a threadbare sweater she only wears for deep study. She thought it was silly. Then she noticed a reflex. As the sweater settled on her shoulders, her breath lengthened. She began to crave the feeling. Craving is useful when attached to the right cues. Your RAS loves what leads to relief. Relief lives where your rituals end with closure, not exhaustion. Sense into your body once more. Feel the small hollow behind your collarbones. Feel your back against the chair. Place 2 fingers on the desk and press until warmth blooms, then release. That warmth is a marker. You are here, you are the awareness, you are choosing where to point your light. There will be days when the switchboard collapses because life does. Someone you love needs you. A launch goes sideways. On those days you run the 1-window mercy rule. You choose one true window to protect, even if it's only 6 minutes. You announce it to yourself and one stakeholder. I'll be in a 6-minute focus block to stabilize X. You breathe, aim, anchor, advance. You cross one tiny finish line and mark it. The mark whispers, even today, I am the person who returns. That whisper keeps your identity tethered when circumstances try to rip it loose. Before we close, rehearse a live social boundary. Picture someone approaching during signal 2. Feel your jaw want to harden, soften it. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Say the line in your own voice. I'm in a focus block. I can talk at 15. Hear yourself say it kindly. Feel your chest warm by a degree as you keep the boundary. See yourself write the 2-line context, reload after you finish the conversation you'll have later. This is not pretend, it's programming. The next time it happens for real, your brain will recognize the path. Identity again, because that's what makes boundaries effortless. You are not a person who must defend focus as if it's contraband. You are a person who offers focus as a gift to yourself and others on purpose. You are the awareness behind the noise, not the noise. Say it softly so your nervous system hears it. I set clear signals, route inputs with care, and return to my work with a steady breath. Feel where it lands. Maybe your sternum warms like a small sun. Maybe the space behind your eyes cools like shade. Tie it to a sensation so it survives the next ping. Imagine next week's calendar. See 3 windows each day marked like sanctuary rooms. See 2 triage times for your cue. See a brief Friday relay note in a shared doc. See your 2 signal cue at your desk. Picture yourself saying the script without urgency. Feel the relief arrive at the end of each day, not because the world was quiet, but because you designed a way to be clear inside of it. That relief is the ultimate positive feedback loop. Your RAS will learn to love what you love. Make it love steadiness. Breathe once more with me before you step back into your life. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Feel the weight of your hands, the temperature of the room on your cheeks, the simple trust that you can be interrupted and still be yourself when the moment passes. That trust is what your attention has been waiting for. You didn't build a fortress. You built a port with clear docks and bright lights, where arrivals and departures make sense, and the ship in the harbor, the work that matters, gets loaded and launched on time. Carry a sentence with you into the next conversation, the next ping, the next knock at your door. I am the switchboard, not the static. I am the lighthouse, not the storm. Let it ride in your breath. Let it simmer in your hands. Let it decide what gets through and when and at what cost. Then begin, and when you're interrupted, return. Boredom is the quiet assassin of focus. Not crisis, not chaos, just the flat, gray stretch where tasks feel like chewing paper. Your nervous system is wired to chase novelty because novelty once meant survival. In a world where threats are rare and tabs are plenty, novelty becomes a siren. Today you won't fight boredom, you'll transmute it. 2 frameworks will carry you, the Boredom Ladder and the Streak Reset Protocol. The ladder turns dull moments into measurable training, so your attention grows stronger the way muscles do. The Reset Protocol prevents one missed day from becoming a story about who you are. Together, they make focus sustainable over months, not just hours. Start in your body so the mind has a place to sit. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, and exhale for 6. Feel the cool stream at your nostrils and the warmer slip across your upper lip. Let your shoulders drop a thumb's width. Notice the weight of your hands where they touch your device or the desk. Sense the slight tug of gravity at your eyelids. The slight warmth settling into your palms is your first data point. You're here, and here has texture. When boredom arrives, you'll use texture as a lifeline. The Boredom Ladder has 5 rungs you climb deliberately. Notice, name, narrow, nudge, nourish. Notice means catching boredom as a body signal, not a moral failure. Name means labeling it out loud. Boredom, medium. Narrow means shrinking the target so your brain can grip it. Write 2 honest sentences, no flourish. Nudge is a timed push, 3 to 6 minutes, where you commit to staying on task without switching channels. Nourish is a micro-reward that feeds relief without ripping your attention away. A long exhale, a sip of water, a single stretch, or reading one paragraph of something you enjoy on paper, not a screen. You record your rung in a tiny tally beside your log. The ladder converts a vague ache into an actionable climb. Your reticular activating system learns that boredom is not a stop sign. It is a cue to run the ladder. A story on a long afternoon with cloud-colored light. Zara, a grant writer, hit the swamp at 2:15 p.m. every day. Her chest didn't tighten, it sagged. Her eyes slid to the news. She installed the ladder. Notice, heavy eyes hollow behind the forehead. Name, boredom, medium high, narrow. Draft the first sentence of the methods section. Nudge set 6 minutes. She pressed thumb to forefinger and felt the pads warm. She typed, "We will recruit 40 community partners through." During minute 4, the urge to check email pulsed like a phantom limb. She labeled it silently, urge, and kept her fingers moving. At minute 6, she exhaled long, stood, rolled her shoulders, and sipped water. Nourish, she sat. The swamp hadn't become a meadow, but she had a boardwalk. By the end of the week, she could ride through the 2:15 stretch without hating herself. That self-regard, not just output, is what keeps people in the game. Scan your senses right now. Hear the nearest ongoing sound, maybe a fan, maybe a distant voice, maybe the mild hum of electricity. Feel fabric against the back of your wrists. Notice where your feet meet the floor and whether one presses more than the other. Identify a scent, even if faint, soap, paper, air with no name. These details don't fix boredom. They anchor you while you apply the ladder. Sensation is the handrail that prevents a small wobble from becoming a fall. Under the hood, boredom is your seeking system yawning. The amygdala isn't alarmed. The dopamine prediction system is understimulated. If you feed it fireworks, you train it to expect spikes. If you give it measured relief, nourish after nudge, you train it to expect steady warmth. Your basal ganglia tag that sequence as valuable because it ends with a body-level R. Over time, the ladder makes the R predictable. Predictability turns drudgery into craft. Pair the ladder with a drill called curiosity breadcrumbs. When you finish a sprint in a dull section, you leave yourself a tempting crumb for the next session. A question, a gap, an unresolved line. Why did response time drop on Tuesday? Find a better verb for optimize. Breadcrumbs are not glitter, they are handles. Your hippocampus loves open loops it can close. When your next opening window begins, your RAS spots the crumb and serves you cues faster. The task that felt like cardboard now has a thread to pull. A different scene, fluorescent and humming, end of quarter. Theo is an analyst drowning in CSVs that smell faintly of hot plastic and coffee. He used breadcrumbs ruthlessly. Every stop ended with next. Validate the outlier in row 1942. He placed the line at the top of the file, then closed it. The next day, boredom arrived. He read the crumb, his fingers moved. His manager thought he'd found motivation. He had found momentum. They look similar from the outside. They feel different on the inside. Momentum feels like a gentle slope under your feet. Breathe again. Inhale, hold, exhale. Let your jaw unclamp so your molars don't quite meet. Press 2 fingers into the desk until warmth blooms, then release. The warmth in your fingertips is proof of blood flow, and blood flow is a proxy for the prefrontal cortex gets resources. When you feel stuck, you're often under-resourced, not under-willed. Now the streak reset protocol. Streaks are powerful until they shatter. The day you miss becomes a verdict in disguise. I knew I wasn't that person. You will pre-negotiate with yourself so the verdict never lands. The protocol has 3 parts: grace line, make good, and ledger. The grace line is the number of misses allowed inside a week without breaking identity, 2 by default. The make good is a tiny action that keeps the neural thread intact when you miss a window, a 6-minute grain before bed, a 2-sentence outline, a single pass of the shine sweep. The ledger is where you record misses without drama and write one body note: before, foggy; after, warmer hands. The protocol teaches your basal ganglia that the habit is a net, not a tightrope. Nets catch, tightropes condemn. An anecdote in a life with real weather. Helena cares for her father and runs a small online shop. Her week broke open with a sudden doctor visit. Old pattern, missed 2 days, then quit for a month because the streak died. New pattern, grace line, 2 misses permitted. Make good, 6-minute evening micro-sprint logging order issues. Ledger, 1 sentence about body weather. She missed Tuesday and Wednesday. She did the make good both nights. Thursday morning, her opening window didn't feel like a restart. It felt like a continuation. The difference lived in her chest. Instead of a hard knot, there was a steady warmth. Identity stayed intact. I am a focused person living a human life. That statement is armor, but breathable armor. Check your senses again. Hear the farthest sound you can pick up. Notice the cool spot on your cheeks. Feel the weight of your device or the gentle contact of your fingers with keys. Taste whatever lingers: coffee, mint, neutral. Bringing attention to these channels is like turning dimmer switches. You can find the level where work happens without strain. To make boredom your teacher, add the monotony map. For 1 week, mark windows with a tiny letter: D for dull, V for varied. After each D window, jot the rung you climbed on the ladder and 1 sentence you produced. At week's end, read the map. You'll find that your dullest sessions often contain the cleanest building blocks. Clarity hides in repetition. When your RAS sees that dull windows end with honest progress, it becomes less loud in the face of gray. Loudness is a request for novelty. You answer with proof of relief. Ladder has a cousin for tasks that sprawl, the tiling move. Instead of finishing the whole floor, you set tiles, small adjacent units you can place in 1 sprint. For writing, tiles are section openings. For coding, tiles are isolated functions. For studying, tiles are concept summaries in your own words. You lay tiles until a patch appears. Patches build rooms. Rooms build houses. Houses don't require adrenaline. They require mortar and breath. Your brain likes tiling because every tile has an edge. Edges make dopamine behave. Story in a quieter setting. Rena is a medical student memorizing pharmacology that tastes like chalk. She tiled 1 drug class, 1 mechanism sentence, 1 adverse effect, 1 association trick. 12 minutes, then a sip of water, long exhale, 10-second gaze out the window. Tile by tile she laid a floor. On exam day her chest stayed cooler. The tiles held her. Boredom had become training, not torment. Under the hood, you're training your salience network to flag small true step as meaningful. The amygdala quiets when predictions match outcomes. Predictable cycles of nudge and nourish teach your system that stay ends well. You're also letting the default mode hum gently without kidnapping you. Tiling and breadcrumbs give the wandering part of your mind something safe to chew while your hands move. A rescue for days when boredom mutates into aversion, the 90-second weather watch. Set a timer. Describe sensations like a sportscaster. Pressure behind eyes, heat in face, heaviness in limbs. No commentary, no fix. Breathe with a long exhale. At 90, ask 1 question: what is the smallest tile I can place? Place it. Close the loop with a nourish. You've honored the weather and moved anyway. That pairing, the kindness and the action, rewires shame into stewardship. Feel the curve of your spine and lengthen it a touch. like you're being lifted by a single string. Let your tongue rest gently against the roof of your mouth. Rub your thumb over a fingertip and count the ridges. This is not stalling, it's steering. You can't steer a tense body, you can steer a responsive one. Boredom often spikes in the close window when energy dips and the day's loose ends buzz. Use the candle rule. Pick one small flame to carry into tomorrow, write the first line of the next section, cue the next dataset, place the next tile. Leave it lit, not raging. The glow guides your morning brain. Without it, you wake to a dark room. With it, your RAS already knows where to point the light. You'll feel the difference as a soft eagerness, not a push. A domestic moment where the rule saved a week. Max, a photographer, dreaded editing sessions at day's end. He began leaving a candle, one image pre-flagged and cropped at 60%, one note, finish contrast and export. The next morning the candle was there. He finished the image in 6 minutes and slid into the rest. The small flame became a string of lights across his week. Let's make the ladder physical so it sticks. Draw 5 tiny squares on a sticky note and label them N, 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 N down the side. Notice, name, narrow, nudge, nourish. Place it where your eyes land in dull sections. Each rung you climb gets a dot. Dots aren't childish, they're dopamine markers. Your nervous system adores visual proof. At day's end, count dots the way a runner counts laps. The point isn't to win a sticker. It's to teach your brain that you're the kind of person who climbs even when the trail is flat. Another story with fluorescent buzz and a hint of toner in the air. Elodie, an HR generalist, used to flee policy updates. She made a ladder sticky and a streak ledger in her notebook. She missed Monday's close window. She wrote Miss 1-2, did a make-good 6-minute outline and logged before tight scalp, after warmer hands. Tuesday, she climbed the ladder once and finished 2 clauses. Friday, she looked at her ledger and felt something unfamiliar, quiet pride unaccompanied by adrenaline. She called it paper peace. That peace is sustainable, spikes are not. Check in again, hear a near sound, a key tick, a fabric rustle, a breath. Let your eyes rest on a single point and soften the rest of the field. Feel the contact of your back with the chair. Notice the temperature of your forearms. These checks are tiny acts of sovereignty. You're reminding your midbrain that there's a captain on the bridge. Add one more supporting tool, the boredom budget. Each day you allocate 15 minutes for deliberate, guilt-free novelty at a time you choose. During that slot, you scroll, skim headlines, watch a clip on purpose. Before and after, you whisper, novelty now and novelty done. Labeling bookends the slot so your RAS stops scattering novelty requests into every window. Without a budget, novelty taxes every hour. With a budget, it becomes a line item, paid and closed. You'll notice your urges soften at 11:07 because they know 12:30 exists. When novelty becomes restless energy, you can also redirect it with the variation valve. Keep the channel but change the tool. Write by hand for one sprint, switch to a standing posture, use a thicker pen, change the size of the text on screen. Variation scratches the itch without switching tasks. The salience network perceives new, while the prefrontal cortex keeps the same plan. That compromise builds stamina. Identity seals the day. Say it softly, I'm a person who can do the dull parts with dignity. You are not the spark alone, you are the steady flame. You are the awareness behind the weather, not the weather. Feel where the sentence lands, sternum warming, air cool behind the eyes, fingers heavier in a good way. Tie it to a breath. Identity without sensation evaporates. Identity with sensation calcifies into habit. Run a live ladder right now on a tiny, honest tile. Notice, what's your body reporting? Name it. Narrow, define the smallest step you can do in 3 minutes. Nudge, start a silent count of breaths if you don't have a timer. Aim for 20 long exhales. Keep your hands moving in one channel. When you finish, nourish. 1 exhale through pursed lips, 1 sip of water, a stretch, a glimpse at something far away. Mark a dot on a scrap. That dot is not childish. It's proof you can ride the flat and arrive. When you miss a window this week, and you will, because life belongs to no one, run the streak, reset without theatrics. Grace line, mark it. Make good, do 6 minutes. Ledger, write the weather. The next morning, you will not need to climb out of a hole. You will need to step over a small curb. Curbs are nothing to an attentive walker. Imagine a month from now. Your log shows ladder dots sprinkled through dull sections like stars across a grey sky. Your ledger has misses with make goods attached like lifelines. Your boredom budget is paid at times you choose. You end more days with the click behind your eyes and the warm hands that say you can rest. People around you notice, not that you're more intense, but that you're steadier. They ask your secret. You tell them the truth. You trained boredom like a dog, kindly, consistently, with clear cues and reliable treats. Breathe once more with me. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Feel the chair receive you, the air on your cheeks, the quiet thrum in your hands. Whisper for your nervous system to hear. When the world is grey, I climb. When the streak breaks, I mend. I am the one who returns. Then choose your next tile, place it. Leave a breadcrumb, set the candle for the morning. This is not glamorous, and that is why it works. Glamour burns out. Craft endures. You've built focus in the middle of a noisy day. Now you'll master the bookends that decide tomorrow before it starts. Attention is a 24-hour organism. What you do after sunset writes code your brain executes at sunrise. Tonight is not an afterthought, it is the architect. You'll install 2 frameworks, the night dock and the morning launch. The night dock safely parks your loops so your reticular activating system sleeps instead of scanning. The morning launch ignites your prefrontal cortex with a single clear vector before the world offers you 20. Together, they close the attention circuit so focus becomes your baseline, not a battle. Feel where you are, the chair receives you fully. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6 through soft lips. Notice the cool edge at your nostrils, the warmer ribbon leaving. Let your jaw hinge loosen, let your shoulders drop a thumb's width. Sense the mild weight of your hands and the faint tack of skin against keys or paper. That tiny warmth in your palms is your starting beacon. You are in a body. The body is where the switch lives. The night dock is 3 moves braided into one ritual you can run in 6 minutes or in 15, depending on the weather of your day. You'll call them offload, dim, and seal. Offload is a brain dump with edges. You write 2 sentences only. What still hums and what done will look like tomorrow for one thing that matters. You don't catalogue a life, you declare a direction. Dim is your sensory turndown. Screens step back, lights shift warmer, breath elongates. Seal is a brief self-briefing that tags your RAS with 1 dream seed, a sentence it can rehearse while you sleep. Bring me cues for clarifying the argument's 3 beats. Your hippocampus loves rehearsal. Your amygdala loves permission to rest. The dock gives both. A story from a kitchen at 10:41 p.m. light the color of honey. Mara is a developer who used to fall asleep with her phone inches from her face and wake up punchy. Evenings turned into scroll tunnels. Mornings felt like walking in sand. She tested the night dock for a week. She stood by the counter, palms on cool stone. Offload, humming, API test matrix unfinished. Tomorrow's done, first pass on endpoints A, C with notes. Dim, phone on a shelf across the room, lamp to warm white, 2 rounds of 4-4-6 with a longer sigh on the exhale. Seal, Dreamseed, bring me cues for the riskiest test. She slept deeper. The 3 a.m. Wake and Worry episodes shrank. On Thursday, she woke with a clean thought, test the timeout case first, and wrote it on a sticky before touching anything glowing. Her day felt like a trail already marked. That feeling is the dividend of a doc. Notice your senses now as if you were at your own counter. Smell whatever faint scent lingers, soap, paper, your sleeve. Hear the nearest repeating sound, refrigerator hum, distant traffic hush. Feel the fabric along your forearms, maybe cooler than your skin by a degree. These are dim signals. Your nervous system learns them as we are landing. Under the hood, the night dock turns off 2 leak valves. 1. Blue-rich light and late novelty keep the suprachiasmatic nucleus guessing, which delays melatonin release and keeps your amygdala more trigger-happy tomorrow. 2. Unresolved loops keep the salience network on patrol, surfacing. What if cues at 2 a.m. offload plus Dreamseed tells the salience network, stand down, the morning shift has the plan. Dim tells your visual system that daytime is over. Physiological calm is not a vibe, it's a sequence. There's a micro drill inside offload called the 2-line landing. You set a timer for 60 seconds and write only these. Tomorrow I will bring full attention to because, then a snapshot sentence, done looks like on my screen. You stop mid-urge, even if you want to keep going. Stopping is the habit. Your RAS learns that 2 lines are enough to lower vigilance. You'll feel it as a drop in the sternum's buzz, like a switch dimming a room by 10%. Another scene, this one with a sleeping toddler in the next room, the air tasting faintly of laundry soap. Calvin runs a tiny e-commerce shop and used to pack orders at 11 p.m. mind racing. He adopted the night dock with a tangible cue. He placed his tape dispenser into a small wooden tray to signal work off. Offload on an index card, dim with a warm lamp and a glass of water, seal with a whisper, Dreamseed, make tomorrow's pick list easy. He started sleeping faster. He still woke once to check on the toddler, but he didn't open the mental floodgates. In the morning, he wrote the pick list in 5 minutes flat and felt a quiet ache in his hands become warmth, a signal his body had shifted from guard to go. Now the morning launch. It runs on 3 rails, warm, aim, advance. Warm brings blood and oxygen to the prefrontal cortex before you ask it to perform. Aim briefs the RAS with a vector. Advance moves a grain across the finish line within 10 minutes, so your basal ganglia get their completion reward early. Warm can be 2 rounds of 4-4-6, a shoulder roll, and a glass of water. Aim is your single sentence from the doc, spoken out loud and paired with a fingertip press for 2 breaths. Advance is the smallest true step. Write the first line, rename the file with date, list the 3 beats. You start before you check anything designed by other people. That quiet disobedience is how you remind your nervous system who's captain. A short morning vignette. Naima, a community manager, used to open her inbox like a trapdoor. The day fell through. She changed the first 7 minutes. Warm, light stretch, water, 2 slow breaths. Aim, bring full attention to outlining the member welcome flow because it reduces churn. Advance, type the 3 messages, purposes. Timer for 6 minutes. When her hand twitched toward the inbox, she named it urge, exhaled longer, kept typing. At minute 6, she felt the click behind her eyes, cycle complete, then opened the inbox from a steadier spine. Her team said she sounded calmer in chats. She wasn't faking it, she had preloaded a win. Pause and feel your breath at the base of your throat, where it seems to turn the corner into your chest. Inhale to 4, hold to 4, exhale to 6. Let your tongue rest on the roof of your mouth. Sense the temperature difference between cheeks and neck. These are launch cues. Over time, they become Pavlovian. Lamp, water, breath, sentence, grain. Your salience network will eventually start the sequence when your hand reaches for the lamp. Protecting launch requires a gate at the edge of dawn. Call it the first light rule. Before sunrise level inputs, a feed, the inbox, the news, you spend 6 to 10 minutes under your dome running warm, aim, advance. This is not self-denial, it's sequence design. Inputs after output. By stacking relief first, you hook your dopamine system to your own progress. The rest of the day rides that association. There's a rescue move for mornings you wake with stones in your chest. That's the 90-second sunrise. You sit, place one palm on your sternum and one on your belly, and describe the weather with 3 plain words: tight, heavy, buzzing. You breathe 2 slow rounds and feel your hands rise and fall. Then you run the smallest advance possible, a single sentence in a document already open, a date typed at the top. The point is not the sentence, it's the signal. Even with weather, I begin. The act lowers amygdala firing, just enough for the prefrontal cortex to stand up. Anecdote in winter light. Jonas, a founder in a sprint, woke into dread. His jaw was a vice, his mind a strobe. He used sunrise, weather, pressure, heat, static, breath, hands anchored, advance, write one true risk for the board memo. He typed, runway is 9 months at current burn. The honesty punched a hole in the fog. He kept going for 6 minutes. The dread didn't vanish, but it lost its megaphone. He told me later, the morning felt like stepping into cold water, and then realizing he could swim. The night dock and morning launch talk to each other through a corridor you'll keep clean. That corridor is the late screen boundary. You pick a consistent hour where screens that fight melatonin go dark or shift behind glasses that block blue. If you must use a device, you change posture and place. Lights low, device at a distance, content pre-decided. When the boundary holds 3 nights in a row, your sleep onset shortens. Shorter onset changes the mood of your mornings. Moods are not mysteries. They're often the echo of last night's light. Feel your eyes. Without moving your head, let your gaze drift to the farthest thing you can see. Hold it for 20 seconds. Return to your working distance. That small act is an oculomotor reset. It signals your system that you can choose depth. Depth in vision supports depth in work. You'll add a second night dock tool on heavy days, the open loop ledger. It's not a rant, it's a tiny list with 3 lines only, each a loop that tried to steal your evening. You write them and give each a route, cue tomorrow, delegate, or archive. Then you close the notebook physically and place it slightly out of reach. The closing is part of the ritual. Your body learns that closure has a sound and a feel. That sound, a thud, a soft snap of elastic, becomes a sleep cue. Under the hood, you're exploiting memory consolidation. During sleep, the hippocampus replays salient patterns. If your last inputs are unfinished, flashy, and social, those patterns replay. Your amygdala practices alertness. If your last inputs are clear, bounded, and embodied, 2 lines, a breath, a hand to chest, your hippocampus rehearses a path you actually want. You wake with recall of what to do, not of 12 arguments you didn't have. Another domestic scene. Lee, a nurse on rotating shifts, felt at the mercy of the clock. She couldn't control her schedule, but she could dock and launch. Before day shifts, night dock at 9:30 p.m., 2 lines, lamp, breath, seeded sentence. After night shifts, a modified dock at 8 a.m. with blackout curtains and a reverse dream seed, bring me cues for rest. Morning launch turned into waking launch after her sleep window, water, breath, aim, tiny advance. She stopped calling herself chaotic. The schedule stayed wild, Her rituals made it navigable. Identity shifted from I react to shifts to I carry my dome between them. You can feel the difference in her words. One is a flinch, the other a stance. Build in a small joy to glue your rituals. Call it the silk thread. It's a sensory treat paired only with dock or launch, a particular tea, a drop of cedar oil on your wrist, a favorite instrumental track. Pairing the thread with your ritual teaches your nervous system to anticipate ease. Anticipation makes adherence cheap. Cheap adherence beats heroic effort every time. There will be nights you forget or scroll past the boundary. The streak reset protocol you learned returns here. Grace line mismarked without judgment. Make good is a 2-minute dock. One line of offload, one breath to dim, one dream seed to seal. Ledger note about body weather. You are not disciplining a child, you are maintaining an instrument. Instruments need tuning, not scolding. Pause, place your right hand over your sternum and your left on your belly. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Feel the warmth of your palms spread. Notice the weight of your seat. Name one far sound. These anchors are not cute. They are firmware updates for the oldest parts of your brain. To strengthen the launch, bolt on a micro drill called the first stone. You place a literal small stone on your keyboard each evening. In the morning, you move the stone to the desk only after warm, aim, advance. The motion is laughably small. That's why it works. Your midbrain likes objects that mean something. The stone becomes a signal your body trusts. A story where the stone became a hinge. Pillar, a high school art teacher, lost mornings to staff chat. She adopted a smooth basalt pebble from a beach trip. Night dock, pebble placed on keys, 2 lines on a sticky. Morning, breath, water, aim, draw one thumbnail for a new lesson. Move the stone. The day felt different before 7:10 a.m. There was a click, a sense of self-respect that made good morning sound like a real greeting. Her students didn't know about the rock, they felt the result. That's how rituals echo. You'll also use the candle rule you learned earlier as a bridge between dock and launch. A tiny flame left ready, first line written, dataset queued, notebook open with a prompt, turns the morning from what now into continue. Continuation beats initiation in energy cost. Your dopamine system loves picking up threads. Threads are cheaper than starts. Protect your launch from sabotage disguised as care. Early texts that say, just checking in, news that shouts urgency, notifications that beg for attention, they can wait 10 minutes. Your launch is not selfish, it's service. When your own vector is set, you answer people from clarity, not from the anxious buzz of unstarted work. They feel the difference in your tone, slower, warmer, more precise. Precision is kindness's twin. Identity again, because bookends define the story. You are not a person who gets lucky with focus. You are a person who docks the day cleanly and launches with intent. Say it quietly, I end with edges, I begin with aim. I am the awareness that chooses both. Feel where it lands. Maybe behind your eyes, cool and clear. Maybe across your sternum, a soft heat. Tie it to the sensation of a palm on chest, to the sound of a notebook closing, to the sight of a lamp shifting warmer. Identity linked to sensation survives storms. Let's run a live micro dock launch pair. Imagine it's evening. Offload 2 lines on a scrap. What hums, what done looks like tomorrow. Dim, shift your light warmer in your mind's eye. Breathe 4-4-6 twice. Place your device face down and out of reach. Seal, whisper one dream seed outcome. Now imagine morning. Warm with 1 glass of water and 2 slow breaths. Aim with your single sentence spoken aloud and a fingertip press for 2 breaths. Advance with 1 true line. Mark the cycle complete by placing your palm on the desk and feeling warmth bloom. That warmth is your signature. Notice what changes in your body as you imagine this. Perhaps the world's volume drops half a notch. Perhaps your hands feel a gram heavier, reassuring. Perhaps the screen in your mind looks less like a carnival and more like a canvas. That shift is not motivation, it's neurophysiology agreeing with good design. There will be travel days, sickness days, late-night party days. Shrink the frameworks, keep the bones. Micro-dock, one line, one breath, one seed. Micro-launch, one breath, one sentence, one stone moved. You are preserving identity, not chasing streaks. Identity persists when rituals are flexible and still felt. Picture a week from now. Evenings taste like closure. Mornings begin with a quiet win that makes you generous before the world asks for anything. Your log shows not just tasks, but whether that keeps trending toward calm, warmer hands, looser jaw, steadier breath. People notice you are less reactive before 9 a.m. and less ruminative after 9 p.m. You feel like your days have shorelines. Shorelines mean tides can come and go without flooding your house. Breathe once more. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Hear one far sound and one near sound. Smell whatever is here. Feel your palms, the slight tack, the warmth that says blood and attention are in the right places. Whisper the sentence that makes this yours. I dock with kindness. I launch with clarity. I am the one who returns. Then plan tonight's 2 lines and tomorrow's first line. The rest will dim. The right thing will light. Pressure doesn't just steal attention, it shrinks the room your mind is in. Deadlines compress, stakes rise, a voice insists you must do everything at once or you'll lose something important. Your visual field narrows, your breath climbs into your throat. The reticular activating system, loyal but literal, promotes anything loud to front row. If focus in ordinary time is a lamp, focus under pressure is a lighthouse in fog. Tonight you'll build that lighthouse with 2 frameworks, the 60-second stabilizer and the clear triage. The stabilizer pulls blood flow back to the prefrontal cortex when your amygdala sounds the alarm. Clear routes crisis tasks, so you move one true thing instead of flailing. Together, they turn urgent moments into deliberate minutes and preserve your best work when it matters most. Begin by checking the ground you're standing on. Feel the chair receive your weight, sense the way your sit bones press, left a hair more than right. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, and let out 6 through soft lips. Notice the cool at your nostrils, the warmer thread passing your upper lip. Let your jaw hinge open a millimeter so your molars do not meet. These small adjustments are not decoration, they are a signal, safe enough to choose. As the exhale lengthens, the vagus nerve whispers, "Stand down," and your attention returns from the door to the desk. The 60-second stabilizer is a timed sequence you run the instant you feel the surge. It has 4 moves that roll like beads: locate, label, lengthen, look. Locate means find 3 physical anchors: feet on floor, hands on surface, eyes on one point. Label means name the weather with plain words: tight chest, hot face, buzzing arms. Lengthen means 2 rounds of 4-4-6, with special attention to the exhale's last 2 seconds. Look means widen your visual field. Soften your gaze until you see both edges of your screen, then bring it back to a single intentional point. The sequence is fast. You can do it in an elevator or at a table with people watching. It's not a ritual for calm personalities. It's a protocol that returns control to the pilot. A story in the color of urgent email headers, nor leads comms at a startup. 10 minutes before a board call, a journalist published a critical piece with a misleading sentence. Her throat tightened. Her first impulse was to fire off a defensive thread. She ran the stabilizer. Feet, hands, point, label, heat, pressure, speed. Too slow, 446s. Eyes softened, then narrowed on her aim sentence. Clarify the single provable correction. The surge didn't vanish, but it stopped driving. She wrote one factual line, asked the reporter for a small edit, and prepared a quiet board update. During the call, her voice carried steadiness. The board thanked her for grace under fire. She didn't find grace, she manufactured it with sequence. Feel your own sequence now. Touch thumb and forefinger until warmth blooms. Hear the lowest hum in the room, maybe air, maybe electronics. Smell a faint scent, paper, soap, coffee, phantom. These are the handles you grab when the boat tilts. You're teaching your system where the rail is in the dark. Pressure's second trick is false urgency. Everything feels time-critical because your prediction system hates uncertainty. Enter clear triage. Contain, list, estimate, act, review. Contain means stop the lake. Silence non-critical channels for 15 minutes. Set your two-signal queue to in a window. Tell exactly one stakeholder. Focused response by 30. List means dump the discrete items on one surface only, not 5. Clarify the error, draft statement, ping legal, prep internal note. Estimate means write a crude, kind time guess next to each, 5, 10, 3, so your prefrontal cortex sees scope. Act means pick the smallest high-leverage item and start a 12-minute sprint. Review means at minute 12, update the list and communicate one clear line to the relevant person. Clear wraps urgency in edges. Your RAS stops throwing every burning match into your lap. It starts handing you the right bucket. An anecdote in a hallway that smells like dry erase marker and coffee. Ben runs ops at a logistics company. A supplier missed a shipment. The dashboard glowed red. Slack pinged like hail. Ben wanted to sprint everywhere. He paused long enough to contain, switched Slack to live line for 2 people, set his status to triage, update at 10:20, put his phone face down, listed 4 items, estimated. Acted on the call to the secondary supplier, the single thing that could unlock everything, 12 minutes, timer visible. He breathed. He wrote one internal note at minute 12 with facts and the next step. By noon, the crisis was smaller because he pulled the right lever first. He ended the day tired but not shredded. That difference lives in his body, less buzzing in the forearms, steadier breath under the collarbones, a jaw that didn't ache. Process is mercy. Pause and notice your mouth. Is your tongue pressing your teeth? Let it float. Trace a tiny rectangle in the air to mark the stage. Your amygdala respects signals that repeat. It's a pattern recognizer, not a philosopher. If you teach it that rectangles predict clarity, it will bring you rectangles faster. There's a micro drill inside stabilizer for social heat, the heat sink. When someone's urgency spills onto you, place your palm flat on the desk and feel warmth. Then ask one clarifying question that starts with what or how. What is the single outcome you need by noon? How will we know this is resolved? The palm grounds your body. The question grounds the room. You shift the conversation from velocity to vector. Under pressure, vector is everything. A dinner table scene because pressure arrives at home too. Kira's teen texted that they'd gotten a failing grade. Kira's chest burned. A sharp comment rose. She ran a stealth stabilizer, 2 slow breaths while rinsing a plate, eyes softened to the kitchen window's rectangle, palm warm on the counter. Then the heat sink question, what happened and what would better by Friday look like? Her child spoke without flinching. They made a plan. Kira realized later that she didn't just avoid a fight. She preserved the identity she wanted, a calm lighthouse in rough water. Focus, is also how you love. Pressure warps time. You need a tool that rescales it. The Crisis 12. In genuine urgency, a 12-minute sprint can move a boulder if your finish line is crisp. You set done single-page brief with 3 bullets, run 446 once and begin. If the alarm is true, 12 minutes is enough to produce a first pass. If the alarm is theater, 12 minutes is enough to discover that and reset. Either way, your basal ganglia get the closure reward that keeps your cognition online. Spinning produces no dopamine, finishing does. Under the hood, stabilizer and clear do the same thing 2 ways: lower amygdala arousal and increase prefrontal control. The long exhale and widened gaze calm sympathetic activation. Containment reduces stimulus load so the salience network isn't yanked. Binary finishes feed the seeking system a clean found it, which keeps you from hunting noise. This isn't stoicism cosplay, it's pipeline management for blood, oxygen, and signals. A small story of public speaking because pressure there is universal. Dani had to present to leadership after a rocky quarter. She felt a canyon open in her belly. She ran the stabilizer behind a podium, feet, hands, point, label cold hands, heat in face, 2 long exhales, soft to narrow gaze. She whispered her aim, tell the 3 beats of the story clearly. Mid-presentation, a VP interrupted with a pointed question. The old Dani would have rushed or apologized. She placed palm to the lectern for a heartbeat, heat sink, and said, "Great question. The single most important factor was X. Here's how we measured it." Her voice slowed. She didn't charm, she demonstrated control. Afterward, someone said, "You looked unshakable." She was held by a protocol she trusted. Feel your hands again. Rub thumb over forefinger. Count 3 ridges. Hear 1 far sound and 1 near sound. Notice the temperature at your cheeks. These are your toggles. In a storm, toggles matter more than pep talks. Crisis brings a second cognitive trap, meaning collapse. You tell a global story that turns a problem into a prophecy. This always happens. I mess up under pressure. It's all falling apart. Your RAS obliges by surfacing only evidence that matches the story. Use the frame guard. It's a 2-sentence guardrail you put in front of your eyes. This is a problem, not a prophecy. Today I am the kind of person who moves 1 decisive lever. You don't need to believe it fully. You need to read it while you breathe and then behave as if it's true for 12 minutes. Behavior teaches belief, not the other way around. There's also the pressure parking lot. When 5 new tasks fly at your head while you're mid-sprint, you jot them without breaking channel and add a triangle mark. Triangles mean revisit after sprint. The shape becomes a cue your midbrain trusts. When the timer ends, you triage triangles through clear. This is how you stop grabbing mid-sentence. Grabbing bleeds cognition, collecting preserves it. An example from medicine where urgency has teeth. A resident named Amma juggled pages, labs, families. He couldn't reduce reality, but he could run stabilizer while walking hallways and clear at the workstation. He trained his thumbs. 3 taps on the phone case meant locate, label, lengthen, look. He trained his eyes. Every doorway was the rectangle that signaled aim. He trained his mouth. What matters most now? His attending noticed fewer flares, more steady counsel. Amma didn't become superhuman. He became procedural. Procedures are kindness under pressure because they make skill available when emotion runs hot. Pause, feel the back of your throat, cool on inhale, warm on exhale. Sense the gentle pull of gravity on your eyelids. Let your shoulders hang an inch lower. The room becomes 3-dimensional again. In 3D, you can choose. Sometimes the crisis is not out there, but inside. a panic spike, an old memory, a shame flash. You still have levers. Use the 90-second containment. You step aside, literally or mentally, set a 90-second timer, and do nothing but breathe 4-4-6 while naming body weather. Then you run one grain. The grain is not to prove you're fine, it's to keep your identity intact. Even with weather, I move 1 true inch. That sentence teaches your nervous system it can ride waves without capsizing. Pressure also loves to recruit other people's urgency. You need a line you can say that defuses without delay. Try the triage promise, I'm on it. You'll have a concrete update by 20. Then deliver at 20, even if the update is X is in motion. Next step Y at 45. People relax when they can predict you. Your amygdala relaxes when your word proves true. Pay attention to your eyes. Under stress they want to dart. Don't fight, direct. Use the horizon trick. Twice in a pressure hour, look out and find a straight line far away. Building edge, hallway floor. Follow it with your eyes for 10 seconds. This recruits oculomotor circuits that calm the midbrain by reminding it of space. Space shrinks fear. With more space, your prefrontal cortex has room to move. A scene with a founder whose launch went sideways. Emails hot, servers warm. Talia's instinct was to slam her team with now. She ran stabilizer first, then clear. She wrote a 3-line note to the team. Contain, live line is #opsurgent only. Aim, restore checkout by switching to cached flows. Action, Ben owns Switch, Myra owns comms. Next update 11:20. She breathed and set 2 12-minute sprints with timers visible in the channel. People watched the minutes and moved their parts. At 11:23 checkout returned. Talia didn't white-knuckle, she conducted. Conductors look calm not because they feel calm, but because they move the right muscles in the right order. Underneath, identity is doing the heaviest lift. You are not a person who collapses or conquers. You are a person who keeps access to the wise part of your mind when alarms blare. Say it softly, I am the awareness behind the alarm. I choose the next lever. Feel where it lands, sternum warming like a hand, space behind the eyes cooling like shade, fingers heavier with a reassuring weight. Tie the line to the 60-second stabilizer. Identity plus protocol becomes reflex. Let's run a live drill so your body remembers. Think of an upcoming pressure point, a meeting, a deliverable, a conversation. Imagine the heat rising. Run stabilizer, feet, hands, point, label the weather, 2 long exhale breaths, soften to wide then narrow. Speak your frame guard. Write a micro clear on scrap, 1 contain move, 3-item list, crude estimates, 1 act grain, and a review line to send at a time you pick. Set a 6-minute timer if 12 feels heavy. Begin the grain for 30 seconds right now. Type a subject line, write the first bullet, sketch the decision tree. Stop. Exhale long, feel your palm on the desk, feel the warmth. That warmth is a fact. Facts are friendly in storms. Notice the sensory field around you. The room has a hum you can place. Your clothes have a temperature against your skin. The air tastes of nothing or coffee or mint. Your screen is a rectangle you can trace with your eyes. These simple realities survive urgency. Touch them with attention. They will carry you back to the seat where the work gets done. Sometimes pressure is chronic, not acute. Weeks of intensity. Use the pressure perimeter. You choose 2 non-negotiables that protect your executive function, 1 sleep boundary and 1 movement microdose. You defend them like revenue. The perimeter keeps you from paying with tomorrow's brain. In long sprints, sustainable wins beat heroic wins. A quick rescue when someone brings you second-hand panic. Mirror and move. You mirror the urgency with 1 sentence that proves you heard. I see why this feels hot. Then you move to clear. Here's what I'm doing in the next 12 minutes. Update at 20. Mirroring settles their amygdala. Your plan settles yours. Two calm nervous systems can solve problems faster than two alarms. A last vignette, quiet but bright. You're alone at your desk at 8:07 p.m., deadline at midnight. The old pattern, sprint, stall, check, panic, sprint. Tonight you stabilize, you write your frame guard, you clear. You choose Crisis 12 with an ugly first pass finish line. Done equals 300 true words and a one-line summary. You breathe like you're fogging winter glass. Your fingers move. At 8:19 you feel the click behind your eyes. You stand, stretch, sip water, stare out a window at a streetlight with a halo. You run another 12, you repeat. At 10:46, a clean draft sits in your hands. Your body is tired but intact. You turn off the lamp and feel a settled hum under your sternum. You preserved your attention under heat. That's a win you can spend next time. Breathe once more. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Feel your hands heavier by a gram, your jaw softer, the room friendlier by an inch. Whisper the sentence your nervous system needs to carry into the next alarm. When pressure rises, I locate, label, lengthen, and look. I route with clear, I move one lever, I return. You are the awareness, not the alarm. You are the lighthouse, not the fog. The beam turns because you choose it to, breath by breath, lever by lever, finish line by finish line. Sustained focus is not a stunt, it's an ecosystem. Stunts look impressive once, then vanish. Ecosystems endure because every element feeds the others, people, places, tools, rituals, stories you tell yourself when you wobble. Today you'll assemble your focus ecosystem and wire in your relapse-proofing. No more back to square one. There is no square one. There is only return. Two frameworks will hold this together: the focus ecosystem map and the relapse recovery loop. The map makes your environment conspire in your favor. The loop turns slips into signal and signal into upgrades. This is where you stop being a person who tries to focus and become a person whose life produces focus almost by accident. Start by arriving in your body. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, and exhale for 6 through slightly pursed lips. Feel the cool thread at the nostrils, the warmer ribbon across your upper lip. Let your shoulders drop a thumb's width. Notice the texture under your fingertips, the matte grain of a desk, the smooth edge of a device, tiny truths that say, here. Your chest might loosen half a notch. Your jaw hinges softer. The room becomes three-dimensional again. In 3D, systems make sense. The focus ecosystem map has 4 rings: core, orbit, weather, story. Core is your non-negotiables, the dome cues, spotlight triangle, tarmac, edge cue, and a protected opening window. Orbit is people and agreements, 2 signal protocol with teammates, a boundary phrase with loved ones, the Friday relay, 2 triage slots. Weather is bodily cycles, fuel flow, friction, triad, Ultradian Rider, late screen boundary, night dock, and morning launch. Story is the scripts your RAS listens for your frame guard in pressure, thought tag protocol, 3-angle reframe, and your identity line. You sketch the 4 rings on a page and name the elements you truly use. Anything you haven't used in a week either gets revived with a micro-commitment or archived, so your system stops pretending. Ecosystems thrive on honesty more than ambition. A story from a cluttered home office that smelled like dust and printer ink. Paolo, a freelance editor, had collected tactics the way some people collect bookmarks. When a week went sideways, he grabbed louder tools. None stuck. He drew the map. Core lamp, ambient playlist, single sentence aim, 12-minute sprint, edge cue. Orbit, 2 signal with his partner, headphones on chair, window, and a shared calendar block named quiet. Weather, water on lamp on, 33 moves, a walk at the middle trough. Story, I am the awareness behind the noise. I begin with one honest line. He taped the map at eye level. The change wasn't dramatic, it was dependable. By Friday he felt a heaviness in his hands that meant work done, not exhaustion. The map didn't add power, it removed guessing. Guessing is loud, knowing is quiet. Scan your senses. Hear the faint electrical hum or a far traffic hush. Smell the nearest neutral scent, paper, soap, fabric. Feel the waistband's pressure, the chair's firmness, the skin on your forearms a degree cooler than your neck. These checks keep your mind inside a body where ecosystems live. A plan without a body is a poster. A plan with a body is a place. Orbit matters more than most admit. You teach people how to help you help them. Write a 2-sentence agreement for your closest collaborator. When my queue shows window, I'll be unavailable until 15:45. When I'm free, I'll respond within 2 triage slots daily. Then ask their version. Mutual choreography reduces ambient dread. Dread eats focus because the amygdala hates unknowns. Agreements create knowns. Your shoulders drop, theirs do too. Under the hood, the ecosystem spreads regulation across nodes, so attention doesn't rely on one fragile habit. When your night dock fails, your morning launch picks up slack. When your opening window gets smashed by a meeting, your micro window and debrief dip catch you. When your energy dips, fuel flow, friction lifts you. Redundancy makes systems resilient. Resilient systems produce consistent identity evidence. Identity evidence is how I'm focused, becomes a fact more days than not. Now wire in relapse proofing with the relapse recovery loop. It has 5 steps, all ends so your midbrain remembers. Notice, normalize, narrow, nudge, narrate. Notice means catch the slip as sensation and sequence, not as sin, jaw tight, phone open, 2 hours gone. Normalize means speak a sentence that shrinks shame. Of course my brain chased novelty, it was underfueled and overcued. Narrow means define the smallest true edge you can cross next. Done equals reopen brief, write first 50 words. Nudge means set a 6-minute timer and run the focus switch micro, breath, frame, sentence, sprint. Narrate means log 1 line about body weather before and after and why it happened so your RAS updates models. You're not excusing, you're engineering. The loop returns you to the cockpit without court-martial. Anecdote in blue light at midnight. Sienna, a grad student, lost a night to a video spiral. Old script, I ruin everything. New loop, notice, dry eyes, cold hands, 1:07 a.m. Normalize, of course I didn't dock and I ate sugar at 9. Narrow, done equals create dock and list 3 sub-questions. Nudge, 6-minute sprint, ugly start. Narrate, before, buzzy, after, warmer hands. She slept. The next morning she didn't waste energy on self-attack. She ran morning launch and moved. The loop didn't erase the late night. It prevented a shame hangover that would have cost a day. Shame costs more than sleep. Check your breath again. Inhale to 4, hold to 4, exhale to 6. Place your palm on the desk and feel warmth bloom then fade. That warmth is a measurement. You are here, you can begin again. Beginning again is the superpower most people never train. Your map needs maintenance. Install maintenance Monday, 15 minutes to tidy the dome, update your edge stamps, prune pinned tabs, clear your attention stack, and reprint your 2-signal card if it's curled and sad. Small visible order yields a measurable drop in vigilance. Your amygdala listens to surfaces. Clear desk, calmer brain. It's not magic, it's sensory input. Add the values to vector bridge so the work isn't just efficient, it's meaningful. Write once a week, 1 line per anchor task. This serves value/person by specific outcome. When your RAS knows that the dataset clarifies a client decision that protects their staff Saturday, cues tied to that value get brighter. Meaning beats willpower when friction rises. You'll feel it as a small warmth behind the sternum when you speak your aim. Warmth is guidance, not guilt. A workplace scene with fluorescent light and the smell of dry erase marker. Archero leads a support team and dreaded crafting team norms. He bridged values. This serves care and clarity by reducing paging after hours. When his eyes slid away mid-draft, he touched the line and felt a tiny lift. The draft wrote itself like a river with banks. Banks aren't constriction, they are direction. Weather ring check. The Ultradian Rider told you there are crests and troughs. Use the long wave calendar for seasons. During launches or exams, you tighten the pressure perimeter, non-negotiable sleep, and a 3-move flow dose. During recovery weeks, you deliberately widen your attention diet, walks, books, slower inputs, so the salience network stops expecting constant high stakes. You are steering the climate, not just enduring the weather. Pause and widen your gaze until you see both sides of your screen, then narrow to a single letter. Feel your tongue rest against the roof of your mouth. Taste whatever lingers, mint, coffee, nothing. These inputs teach your midbrain that you're not inside the thought, you're holding it. You steer better from outside the swirl. You'll also map anti-triggers, predictable traps that tear your dome. Certain apps, late-night debates, sugar at 9 p.m., just checking before launch. For each you pair an if, then so your basal ganglia can run it without debate. If it's past 9:30, then night dock micro and phone to the shelf. If I open a social app during a window, then close it and run 446 once. If I get a quick ping during Signal 2, then gentle gate script and context reload after. Scripts are kindness to future you who will be tired. Tired you deserves care, not tests. Under the hood, if-then links hitch intention to the cue, routine machinery in the basal ganglia. You're not relying on prefrontal speeches when glucose is low. You're relying on cached patterns. Cached patterns save lives in hospitals and save focus in homes. An example on a commuter train with sway in your knees. Jonah, a designer, always fell into games on his phone between stops and arrived scattered. Anti-trigger, train boredom. If I sit, then earbuds plus ambient track plus 2 thumbnails. After a week, his body reached for the stylus when the doors closed. No disciplined speech, just a trained loop. Story ring matters. The words you repeat become filters. Install a quarterly ritual called the narrative audit. Open your log and look for phrases that recur, always behind. I lose afternoons. I'm not creative. Run the 3-angle reframe and write a new static line you'll pair with breath for 90 days. Afternoons dip. I ride the trough with reset ritual and a 6-minute grain. Post it near your lamp. Language is lever. Levers move days. Bring your senses back. Feel the pressure where your feet meet the floor, the temperature on the back of your hands, the tiny sway in your spine as you breathe. Hear one far sound, then one near. These anchors are the screws holding your map to the wall. The ecosystem needs celebration, not as confetti but as calibration. Build a tiny weekly ceremony called Bright Dots. Look at your edge stamps and pick 3 that mattered. Speak the body difference. Before, tight scalp. After, warm hands. Thank the ritual out loud. Thank you, dome. Thank you, 12-minute. Gratitude to processes turns them into trusted partners. Your RAS flags partners as safe. Safe is quiet. Quiet is focus. A domestic vignette under lamplight that smells like tea. Myra and Ren co-parent and both work from home. They drew a shared ecosystem map on a sheet protector with dry erase markers, signals, triage times, fuel plan, dock launch hours. Sunday nights they ran bright dots with their kid, who added a sticker to any day the quiet block stayed mostly quiet. Focus became a family culture, not a personal quirk. The house sounded different, less frantic shuffling, more footsteps with intent. Their shoulders told the truth, lower more often. You'll hit plateaus. Plateaus aren't failure, they're invitations. Use the plateau probe, 3 questions in a minute. Where is friction? Which ring needs love? What tiny novelty would refresh without derailment? Maybe you switch your ambient track, buy a softer lamp bulb, swap your mug, or change seat height. Variation scratches novelty's itch without changing the task. The salience network sighs with relief. The prefrontal cortex keeps the plan. Remember the relapse recovery loop when you travel, when you're sick, when grief walks in. Notice, normalize, narrow, nudge, narrate. Then add one more N on heavy days, nest. Nest means pick a sanctuary corner, library chair, bus window seat, cafe booth, and run a microdome ritual there. Sensory repetition in a repeating place becomes a pocket of control when life is feral. You'll feel a physical settling, like sand finding level in a jar. Scan, inhale, hold, exhale. Let your eyes soften, then sharpen on a single point you choose. Place your fingertip on the desk until warmth rises. Release. That warmth is a lighthouse you can bring anywhere. Lighthouses are portable when they live in palms, breath, and sentences. Teams can build ecosystems together. Try the Focus Charter, 1 page with shared 2-signal rules, triage windows, meeting 2-door policy, and done equals norms. Each person writes a personal identity line at the top. Read the page together. The act is not corporate theater, it's collective nervous system design. After 2 weeks you'll see fewer got a min, drive-bys, and more edge equals X by 20 messages. Culture is protocols repeated without apology. Underneath all this sits the only switch you truly control, the one who chooses. You are not your calendar, you are not your tools, you are the awareness that uses them. Say it gently now, I am the curator of my focus ecosystem, I design my returns. Feel where it lands, sternum warm like sun on stone, space behind the eyes cool like shade, fingers with a reassuring weight. Pair the sentence with one long exhale. Words plus breath equals wiring. Run a 1-minute build right now. Draw the 4 rings on a scrap. Write 3 core elements you actually use. Add 2 orbit agreements to install this week. Pick 1 weather lever to honor tomorrow. Write 1 storyline you'll pair with breath. Then pre-write your relapse recovery loop on the same page so future you doesn't have to remember steps when tired. Fold the paper, place it under your lamp or tape it where your eye lands. Systems visible become systems used. Now rehearse a slip and a return. Imagine you've scrolled for 20 minutes. Notice heavy eyes, cold hands, normalize, of course I skipped lunch and the rider dip. Narrow, done equals reopen document and write 50 honest words. Nudge 6 minutes, breath, rectangle, sentence, sprint. Narrate before buzzy, after warmer hands. Feel your body's weather change by a degree. That degree matters. Degrees add up. A final scene, quiet and ordinary. It's Thursday night. Your lamp glows warm. A smooth stone sits on your keyboard. You dock with 2 lines and a breath. You place the stone. The house hums. You go to sleep without arguing with yourself. In the morning, you warm, aim, advance. You move the stone. The day unfolds with interruptions and a few mistakes and 1 small win that clicks behind your eyes. You run the debrief dip after a meeting cluster, lay 2 tiles in a dull section with the ladder, and cross an edge with a shine sweep. At dusk, you run bright dots and feel a steady hum behind your sternum instead of sand in your veins. You didn't chase focus. You tended an ecosystem. Focus came because you made it a habitat, not a hunt. Breathe once more, Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Hear one far sound and one near. Smell whatever is here. Feel the warmth in your palms. Whisper for your nervous system to believe. My focus is a place I build. When I wander, I know the road back. Then set tonight's dock time, tomorrow's opening window, and one orbit conversation to schedule. Ecosystems change because keepers tend them. You are the keeper. You are the awareness. You return. You've reached the part where you no longer ask, how do I focus? But who do I become because I focus? Mastery isn't louder than the first day. It's quieter, like a room whose door fits perfectly, no drafts, no rattling latch. You will consolidate everything into a life you can trust with 2 final frameworks and 1 promise. The frameworks are the Keystone Day and the Legacy Loop. The promise is to teach once, because teaching turns weathered skills into bone. The Keystone Day is a template you'll replay each week to reset you to reliable. The Legacy Loop is a 3-step act, model, name, hand off, that upgrades identity by letting someone else benefit from your calm. You've built the switch. Now you'll build the life that runs on it. Arrive in your body. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, and exhale for 6 through soft lips. Feel your feet press into the floor, the left perhaps a gram heavier than the right. Notice the temperature difference between your cheeks and your neck. Let your jaw hinge loosen until your molars do not meet. The chair receives your weight. Your hands feel a little warmer on contact. Your amygdala listens when you do this. It whispers safe enough to choose, and your reticular activating system turns its head toward the stage you're about to light. The Keystone Day is not a perfect day. It's an honest one that proves your ecosystem works. You declare one each week in advance. Its spine has 5 vertebrae: opening window switch, mid-wave anchor, debrief dip, close window candle, night dock seal. The opening switch is your lamp, water, breath, aim, advance within 15 minutes of waking. The mid-wave anchor lands during your first crest with a crisply defined finish line that moves the week's biggest lever. The debrief dip follows the messiest collaboration block with breath, distant gaze, and a 6-minute grain. The close window candle places one first line or queued dataset for tomorrow. The night dock seal offloads 2 lines and plants a dream seed. You stamp each vertebra when it happens. 5 stamps mean you didn't ride a unicorn. You drove a truck that started, hauled, parked, and shut down on time. Muscle memory grows not from perfect days, but from consistent ones that end. A scene on a Wednesday that used to unravel you. The sky is the color of paper. You wake with a small knot in your chest. You warm, aim, advance, 1 true line before inbox. Later, meetings stack. You run the debrief dip. You write, before I was doing, next I will do, and breathe out like fogging winter glass. In the close window, you light the candle. First sentence of tomorrow's brief done. At night you dock in honey light, 2 lines, 1 seed, 5 stamps. You did not feel epic. You felt steady. Your nervous system will crave this steadiness the way it used to crave spikes. Craving is leverage when you point it toward relief. Check your senses as if you're marking a map. Hear a far sound, traffic hush, HVAC whisper. Smell a faint neutral, paper, wood, soap. Feel your forearms slightly cooler than your neck, your palms warmer than your forearms. Place thumb to forefinger until heat blooms, then release. These micro-anchors are the screws that keep the frame from shifting when the house settles. The Legacy Loop has 3 moves that transform skill into identity: model, name, hand off. Model means you perform a tiny piece of the switch in front of someone without commentary. Lamp on, breath, single sentence, timer start. Name means you reveal the handle after in 1 sentence. That 12-minute block is how I start even when I don't feel like it. Handoff means you give them the smallest tool with a single instruction. Here's a sticky with done equals. Try 1 stamp today. When a friend, peer, or younger version of you watches and tries, your identity cements. I'm not dabbling, I'm someone who transmits calm. The RAS loves roles. When your role becomes lighthouse, it surfaces cues that help you beam wider. An anecdote where the loop changed a room. Lynn is a first-year teacher whose afternoons used to dissolve into behavior triage. She started modeling the focus switch for her class without a sermon lamp, the same instrumental track at low volume, a visible 12-minute sand timer. After the first cycle, she named it. That was a focus sprint. We begin with one sentence. She handed off a tiny tool. Each student got a done equals line at the top of their page. 2 weeks later, a student whispered, "Can we do the sand thing?" Lynn realized that teaching the ritual had made it hers. Her breath lengthened when she turned the lamp. Her shoulders dropped when the sand started. The loop made identity public, and public identity is sturdy. Pause and run a full breath. Inhale to 4, hold to 4, exhale to 6. Let your gaze soften to the edges of your screen, then narrow to one point you choose. You are rehearsing how the beam moves. It's not metaphorical. Your extraocular muscles send signals that your midbrain reads as space exists. Space turns panic into choice. Your Keystone Day contains 2 audits that prevent drift. The attention audit 2x2 is a quick sketch with axes, importance, and energy cost now. You mark tasks as anchors, gifts, sand, candy, and clip your midwave anchor accordingly. The story spot check is 1 line at lunch. What script is loud? You run the thought tag protocol and the 3-angle reframe once. Scripts left unnamed run you. Scripts named sit calmly in the audience as you finish the scene you chose. Under the hood, Keystone Days train your basal ganglia with reliable closure rhythms, and legacy loops recruit the social reward circuitry that lights up when your actions help your tribe. It's neuroeconomics. Stable dopamine from honest finishes plus oxytocin from teaching equals a nervous system that prefers steadiness. Willpower can't match that cocktail. You aren't bullying yourself anymore. You're feeding the system what it likes in forms that serve you. A brief moment that tastes like cedar and paper. You're at a library table. You run a microdome with a travel mug, a soft beanie, the same ambient track. A student at the next table watches you trace a rectangle, breathe once, write, done equals 3 sentences. You don't explain. After they ask, "What was that?" you say, "A focus sprint with a finish line." You slide a spare sticky across. Their eyes soften. You feel your sternum warm like a hand. That warmth is identity setting like plaster. Now wire resilience into seasons with the calibration week. Once a quarter, you run a lighter week where the goal is not maximum output but ecosystem tune-up. Each day you choose 1 ring of your map to refresh. Core cues on Monday, orbit agreements Tuesday, weather levers Wednesday, story Thursday, and Friday is bright dots and the Friday relay. You also run 1 long wave check. Is this a crest month or a recovery month? Crest months get the pressure perimeter. Recovery months get a wider attention diet and more breadcrumbed curiosity. The calibration prevents slow decay. Systems don't fail with bangs, they drift with squeaks. You'll grease the hinge before the door sticks. Scan your body again. Feel the small hollow at the base of your throat. Sense the curve of your spine, lengthened a centimeter. Let your hands rest heavier by a gram. The room feels friendlier when you set the terms. Friendliness is not fantasy. It's your salience network filtering noise as non-threatening. The Keystone Day relies on a simple device you'll carry from here forward. The SRRQ signal ritual result. You choose 1 visible object that triggers the entire arc. A lamp, a pebble, a card, a specific playlist. Signal is the object's placement or activation. Ritual is lamp, water, breath, aim, advance. Result is a binary finish and a stamp. You whisper signal, ritual, result once per window until your tongue does it on its own. When stress returns months from now and your mind goes thin, the SRRQ will be thick enough to grip. A final story with cold morning air and the smell of rain on concrete. Jalen, a young founder, burns weeks in sprints and crashes. He commits to one Keystone day per week and decides to model, name, handoff to his co-founder every Tuesday. The first month looks uneventful from the outside. Inside, his breath drops into his belly more often. His jaw unclenches during afternoons. One Tuesday evening, the co-founder says, "I like Tuesdays." Jalen realizes Tuesday is the day their company doesn't spin. Keystone days became Keystone culture. Legacy loop turned two people into a room where other people can think. Sometimes mastery is simply the quiet confidence that you can rebuild on any day. You'll carry the relapse recovery loop as your pocket compass. Notice, normalize, narrow, nudge, narrate. If the week collapses, you declare a mercy keystone, only opening and close, nothing fancy. You stamp twice and call it a day. The stamp is not trivial. It's a signal to your future self that the thread held. Threads, not epiphanies, hold lives together. Check your senses. One last litany you can do anywhere for 10 seconds. Hear a far sound and a near sound. Smell anything at all. Feel the pressure of your feet and the warmth of your palms. See the rectangle that frames your work. This is the sanctuary room you carry. The world can be loud. The room can still be yours. You will be tempted to upgrade forever. You don't need more frameworks. You need to keep the ones that gave you warm hands, steady breath, quiet clicks behind the eyes, and evenings that land. The focus switch protocol, the 3-window day, the dome and the spotlight triangle, the thought tag protocol and the 3-angle reframe, the fuel flow, friction triad and the Ultradian Rider, finish line design and the progress compass, the switchboard and 2-signal protocol. The boredom ladder and streak reset, the night dock and morning launch, the 60-second stabilizer and clear, the ecosystem map and relapse recovery loop, the Keystone day and the legacy loop. They're not trophies, they're tools. Tools get scuffed. Good, scuffs mean they're working. Identity always. Say it low so your nervous system hears it and believes it. I am the awareness that lights the stage I choose. I brief my body, I brief my filter, I cross clean edges, I recover with kindness. I teach by example, feel where the sentence lands. Maybe your sternum warms, maybe the space behind your eyes cools, maybe your hands feel heavier in a good way. Tie the line to a breath and to the warmth of your palm on the desk. Words plus breath is wiring, wiring becomes reflex. Run one last live cycle, choose a grain that matters, whisper your aim, trace the rectangle, inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6, touch thumb to forefinger for 2 breaths, set 6 minutes if 12 feels heavy, begin, when you finish, stamp, place your palm on the desk and feel the heat. Say, for the last time in this journey and the first time for the rest of your days, cycle complete. Then close the laptop or lift your eyes and notice the room receive you. You are not leaving focus, you are carrying it. When people ask what changed, you'll smile, nothing mystical. You learn to use your biology as a friend, to brief the filter that decides what matters, to move 1 true inch when the weather was rough, to stop glorifying struggle and start honoring sequence. You built a sanctuary room in time that you can enter with a breath and a sentence, and you left the door ajar so others could step in. That is a life's work. It continues now, in the next minute, in the next window, in the quiet click behind your eyes. Breathe once more, Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Hear one far sound and one near. Smell whatever is here. Feel the warmth in your palms. Whisper so softly only the oldest parts of you notice, I return, and then live like it's already true because it is.